the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any public comments? Seeing none, except we did get a call in. Happy birthday, Dewey, from the caller. And we have an agenda in front of us.
I move to approve.
Additions or corrections to the agenda?
No.
Hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor of the agenda as printed, say aye.
Aye.
Agenda has been approved.
Approve the minutes of January 20th.
Second.
Any additions or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of the minutes from January 2nd, 20th, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Minutes have been approved.
Move to approve the claims.
Any additions or corrections to the claims?
Second. Motion due.
First and second, any additions or corrections? Seeing none, move approval of the claims authorized auditor to issue checks, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That has been approved. We have one addition. Danielle White.
Move to approve.
Second.
Danielle White would be for Board of Zoning. All in favor of a personal addition, say aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Budget review, Cassandra?
I don't know if there's anything you want to discuss at this point, if you want to wait and come back to this once we get through the bulk of all the remaining budgets. We'll have two yet next week, MIS and Building and Zoning. But otherwise, the bulk is here. Giving you sheets to show what it looks like on a departmental basis and also what it looks like on a fund basis. And I think you guys will narrow some of that down in capital projects and outside agencies when we get to those within the work sessions today.
Good. Any other questions from the board? Okay. We'll go to board and committee updates.
Emergency management last Thursday night. Election of officers was held. Dan Wiedemeyer and Tom Geis were elected as chair and vice chair. Qualification letter was briefly discussed. E911 coordinator position was discussed, and it doesn't sound like that commission has much say over the decision, but somehow that every mayor in the county felt that the sheriff was overworked and probably could be reassigned away from that and would make everybody's duties better. Bylaws were discussed and confirmed and agreed to. Budget work session was had. Public hearing was set for the budget, and there was a discussion to perhaps hold quarterly or even monthly meetings, and the recommendation was to have Aaron look at what other counties do and kind of follow the model of the majority of the other counties. Corey, you were there. Do you have anything else to say that I missed?
No, I think you did a good job of covering it.
Then I had a meeting this morning with Intercog Executive Board to consider the EDA partnership grant that gives us dollars at Intercog level from the state via the federal government to help offset the cost of our dues, because we can use those dollars to do the matching grant funding for all the grants that are submitted on behalf of Intercog and the cities and counties. So we gave Brian Schoen authority to sign that. That was it.
Corey?
I had our small group for the courthouse remodel project last Thursday via Teams. Went through the plans, did end up getting uploaded to prospective bidders last week. Corrections got made. Those went out and Wednesday. And then, so we're still on schedule for bids to be received. Scott, Patrick, and I went through the prospective costs, like the engineer's estimate. Found a few mistakes. There was some bid package one carryover. It's costs that came out of there. So we found several $1,000s and just some accounting mistakes in that proposal, just misses, not honest mistakes. And so that was redrafted the end of the week last week. I don't have the final copy of that yet, but I'll share it when I get it. It's really just an estimate anyway, so until we see hard numbers come in from bids. Last night we had a virtual meeting for Northeast Iowa Community Action. Tricia was still stuck in Dallas from Sunday yet, still trying to get back. I think she may have made it back to Cedar Rapids late yesterday. So Chriselle and Carly ran the meeting. Our end of fiscal year is January, end of January, so we're coming up on the end. Despite all the roadblocks and hiccups from federal shutdown last fall, funding and revenues were on target. Coming in under budget on expenses for the year, which matches the slight decrease in funding year over year. So budgets all looked good. Budgets for next year, there are some shortfalls, but we have some carryover that'll cover them, so there's no major concerns as we get into the next year. There's a couple items that'll have to be watched closely, but everything looks like it's on track for fiscal 27. They were awarded that Thrive grant I had talked about last fall, or late last fall, that they were applying for. It's a new program through the state of Iowa, so they have a 6-month contract to get till the new fiscal year, and then they'll have a 1-year annual contract for fiscal 27. So they've appointed Nicole Greasy the head of that. There'll be an office in Olwine, and then they're working for another office, probably in Clayton County. They're looking at Guttenberg area. And I asked the state director that's been appointed for the Thrive program if we couldn't get her in March to zoom in and do a presentation on what the state's objectives are and see it from a higher level, along with Nicole's progress in developing the program locally. So we're trying to get that scheduled for March and talk more about it. That's all I had.
Good. Mental health advocate, we did meet with Jackie Bailey, and she seemed like a worthy candidate for us to, approve. She'll be coming in next week for the board approval of that position. Currently, she is the Blackhawk County Grundy. She lives here in Bremer County, so she has some good questions and some things. Her pay is a little bit higher in Blackhawk County, so we may have to do a pay adjustment, so we can talk about that next week. But otherwise, she seems like a worthy candidate to at least listen to. I did go to the Grove Cedar Valley, more for probably Dewey and Mina, this little handout. They want to get the COGS more involved on having, streamlining government, etc. So they talked a little bit about that. Pathways, I did reach out to Corey. There's currently 3 supervisors on Pathways, so it doesn't look like they need another supervisor at this point in time, so I think we could drop Pathways from our list. They have some requirements that over 50% have to be people that have caregivers or experience, and then the rest others, but so I think we're okay at dropping Pathways at this point in time. Shelley did complete the training for the Iowa Public Information Board. They said we'll get certificates in about 2 weeks. They said that's a little bit slow process, so whoever took it the first round, they're still working on those, and then this round will be like 2 weeks before we get an email. So, and then Shelley encouraged several people to attend the new appointees, so it was a good refresher course. That is my updates.
Morning, friends.
Good morning.
And Adam. And Adam. BFF.
there again?
Yeah. Beard's looking good though.
Sometime in a while.
Yeah.
No mosquitoes to deal with this way.
Bob, you need to grow the full beard.
Mm-mm.
Did you get a chance to look at Mr. Priest's stuff again?
I have not had a chance yet. What?
The things in his personnel.
I'll look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because right now, we're doing nothing.
Okay. And through yesterday, that was probably a good call. So, yeah. Yep, I'll take a look.
When it fits in.
Huh? Yes.
Good job. Stop.
Oh,
It's dangerous every time you walk by, you think you need to grab it just as you walk by it.
yeah, I know.
It's really bad.
I do.
We're proposing in the legislature to approve the board minutes at the end of the meeting.
I saw that.
And, you know,
God.
times I try to write them during the board.
That's
meeting,
gonna
but
cause, yeah.
There's too many things, you know, that I verify names and titles, and I look up and like public hearings, trying to
Yeah.
summarize it, and.
I,
there's-
and ISAC was wondering, I listened to the ISAC debrief last week on legislation, and one of the people were like wondering, well, why are they trying to do that? And I chime in, well, there's actually a code section that says this, and it can cause the following problems. So that's probably the workaround, but that's not a good workaround.
Yeah, and it would literally be so stale, like a motion and an
Yeah.
action and a motion and an action and a motion, either, that's not giving anybody anything really.
No,
I could see something like, putting a draft minutes out afterwards, but they should be in the packet, like the city council would be in the packet within a couple days.
it's, yeah.
Adam, did you get an update on your dad this morning?
I have not. I'm gonna go out now and see him. Probably get down there probably about 11 o'clock or so today.
Or your dad's ill.
No, it's a good thing. He had triple bypass yesterday.
Whoa!
So as much as a good thing as that can be.
I guess,
But,
yeah. Oh my gosh.
A scheduled thing, so it wasn't.
Oh, okay. It wasn't urgent.
Hadn't turned that way.
Okay.
But, unlike the other gentleman that had his yesterday, was
Yeah.
urgent. But,
Wow.
Yeah.
It
it's,
was a rough recovery,
Ooh.
very rough recovery.
Yeah, they got him extubated and he was there, and so my mom and brother had left to go get something to eat very briefly. They're gone for about a half hour or so, and he wasn't able to communicate real well, but I had articulated that as much as he'd like to think that the hard part's over, I said, it's just beginning. I said, let's be realistic here. You didn't do anything today. You laid around, And I got a smile out of him.
Oh,
for
that's-
that. But,
Oh my gosh.
so, yeah.
Oh man, it's really good. I'm glad he's on the road to recovery.
Yeah.
Sarah, you want to move up?
I'll move up, thank you, Bob. All right, some nice numbers I like to give everybody. I always like to run my own. Sir Corey, if you don't mind handing that down to you there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good morning, friends.
Morning, Darius.
Good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody doing? Cold.
You're doing fantastic.
Another great day in Bremer County.
So we're going to go over your budget book. We're on item number 4, or department number 4. You want to give us a quick review of the changes that we have forth, and then maybe some of your goals for this next year.
I would love to. Long story short is, I mean, at least on salary, kind of in realistic approach. As you can see from, I did a computation of kind of I took the counties that we had from the Iowa Workforce Development. I took those counties and kind of did a little back of the envelope calculations, or back of the Excel spreadsheet calculations on those counties. Population size doesn't really matter. It does, I guess, for ranking. Status of the county attorney's office, and then county attorney's pay, the number of county attorneys in each, assistant county attorneys in office, and then kind of their lower and upper ranges of their pay. And as it happened, County Attorneys Association released numbers on their annual survey for this fiscal year on what everybody's making in preparation for budget season. So as you can see, based on number 26 there, Bremer County, and the average and kind of the immediate numbers around that, I like to say I'm right where I probably should be as far as pay. Now you can see some outliers there. My compatriot there at Benton County makes 146, and then you can see in Plymouth, Boone, we're getting up into the 160s. You see a couple of 150s there. So, other than adjusting for cost of living, inflationary rate of 2.8%, that's what I gave, put in for myself. And then Dave, my first assistant by extension, then, because he's capped at 85% by statute, then 2.8% for him as well. And that actually comes out mathematically correct. Then you can see for Assistant County Attorney Adam Hansen, cost of living plus a 1% incentive pay, both for performance and to bring him up a little bit more. I think we're finally getting into a competitive pay area for that position, as well as his level of experience and kind of his specialized areas. So I think that's an appropriate increase. Kelly, our legal assistant, administrative assistant, she's kind of the big push there at 5%, and that is both to represent both trying to bring her salary up to what would be probably market value for her level of experience and what she does, but also incentive in that she continues to excel in what she does, and she's kind of the glue. We're actually saving money by having Kelly because county attorneys talk a lot about the software, the nice big expensive software that law firms and legal offices can buy to the tune of $50,000 for a setup cost. Bob, you're a data analyst, computer analyst, $50,000 for a setup package and $20-some thousand a year just to keep the program going with our data plus transition. And people are always saying, well, what do you use? We use Clio or Papel or whatever they call it. And I say we use Kelly as our data system because she is kind of the brains that brings it all together for the rest of us. So, and the market value would say, yeah, she should be a little bit higher. I'd like to eventually see her closer to the 60,000 mark, but that's on a kind of a 5-year plan, plus some inflationary data. For Adam, 5 years from now, I'd like to see that number up a little bit more too, eventually get him. But, by that time, projections. I mean, he's going to be coming close to probably replacing Dave at that point, depending on Dave's schedule for the rest of his career. And so Adam would then make the big jump to first assistant. So, as far as expenditures, I did ask modest increases in legal and court-related services. We're seeing kind of a jump, inflationary, like everybody else. Cost in transcripts has dramatically gone up over the last year, and some of the other services that we use to complete our mission there, and just a minor adjustment to our collections budget. Basically, that's a net neutral amount, revenue neutral amount, because that's just repaying back to Benton. They send us all the money, and then we got to send them back their portion of it, so it all comes out in the wash. And that's about it. Everything else remained the same. I think 3 years into it, we're on a good track. Our caseload is remaining consistent, and that's caseload as well as legal matters across the board. We're rightly staffed for where we're at. We have in the last year, we've had a new victim witness coordinator come on board, Keela. And the victim witness coordinator, I always tie pretty much to Dave and I's increases. It's a part-time position with great flexibility. So, and knowing that that's not her, she's great at it. She's wonderful. I'm happy to have her, but she's also got other stuff going on too. So, yeah.
So this next year, what would be your 3 new goals or 3 initiatives from your office for the public?
Keep our team the same it is, so that we maintain our consistent value. Continue to do training as always. We're always looking for new training initiatives. Just completed public information officer training with you, Bob, over 2 days, so that can be of more value to the county in times of emergency. We just completed sexual violence, sex assault training last Wednesday for the entire office, so that our team can deal with that. Unfortunately, what we lack in other kind of violent crime areas, knock on wood, we kind of make up in Bremer County, unfortunately, for sexually violent crimes. So that's an area that we continue to push aggressively on training, and just keeping the kind of the status quo. As you 3 know, we're not always the fun people, and so continue to make our services available to local government to provide legal advice and help out projects. So we think of ourselves as kind of a force multiplier, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Darius, just real quick on
Yeah.
the attorney portion of collections.
Yeah.
We haven't been hitting the marks there. Is that some of that money that's held up with the state, or?
So
The
which part
collection-
of what?
I'm talking specifically in just your last page of your budget packet.
Yeah.
Like the collections coming into the courthouse, like what I was saying, was it, Cassandra, you helped me with that earlier, I don't remember which department it is.
31.
We're actually overachieving, like I think you were on target for like 70,000, and we're about 80,000 if the year was to hold out. But if I'm just trying to understand this, so like attorney point portion of collections, we're at 1,065 year to date, like halfway through the year, where you budgeted 12,000.
Yeah. So that the money comes in the last part of the year on
Okay,
that.
that's what I was.
Because we have to hit certain thresholds first.
Okay.
We have to hit that threshold amount, and our threshold's 50,000, and then it starts clicking in pretty quick thereafter. So that number goes up in the final 3 quarters, I think.
3 months of it.
Well, no, 3/4. I mean 3 quarters, because I think collections department hit threshold. July starts, September, October, somewhere in there, and so then we start getting those bigger numbers.
Okay.
And this data was only through November,
Okay.
because that's when they sent budgets out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So no, we get, ballpark, do you know how much total we bring in? The collections, the 28% for the county?
Just looking at your,
Something happened in
Revenue sheet.
24, 25, because you only brought in $1,500.
Yeah, I don't think that's right either.
The year before was 9,000,
Yeah, I don't think,
or no, 12,000.
no, 12,000. I don't think that's a right number either. We're paying back more on that than on our 5%. So,
Right, and that's where I was kind of going with that, is it just
No,
the
that-
inconsistency? I wondered if it was an accounting error or.
and we did lose statewide, we lost 26, county attorneys lost $26 million last year from a computer error, algebra error from the judicial branch. And so, which they're not gonna give back to us. So, some of that is, but no, we make up that money, so.
How many trials did you have this last year, office-wide?
Ballpark, jury trials, 3 or 4. Non-jury trials, probably dozens. Plus TPRs, China adjudications, yeah.
Everything else?
Thank you, Darius.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Any other questions? All right, thanks and have a super great day. Good luck
And
with
let's see,
everything else.
Cassandra's gonna talk to you about something from CBS.
yes, I will get you, we have a lease for the land over at, one of our houses, and maybe want to do some amendment to it.
Okay. I look forward to helping.
Thank you.
Adam, it's warm for you.
Thank you.
All right.
That's gonna be a great act to follow.
Nice, fives.
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Thank you.
We'll start here just in a moment.
You're good.
Item is Department 3. And you brought, you got one handout for us, this.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And anything else do we need to have in front of us?
I'll hand this out. We'll get to it. Kind of a little bit of a primer here. On a side note, outside of this, I guess I could kind of bring public comment, or it's not official public comment, but comments I've fielded from the public that goes to our maintenance staff and how well they've kept the sidewalks clean, salted, and maintained the entrances to the building during the weather that we've had. Challenges of, we can't control the cold, but when stuff starts to melt and ice starts to form, Scott and the guys have been very proactive about taking that under control. And so we have fielded a few comments in the office about that appreciation. So from the customer base, it goes noticed, so.
Yeah, with a lot of people coming in and out, safety is a big thing, so.
It is.
Making sure that we have a safe environment
Yep.
for all of our residents coming into the courthouse, so.
It's one of the things also is, people come in, it naturally happens, we track stuff into the building. Sometimes we get wet spots and that kind of stuff, so my staff has been encouraged that when they see it, either take care of it or let Scott or somebody know so that we're taking control of risk and that kind of thing with that, so
Good.
we don't have to task Shelley's office too much.
So once again, if you can give us kind of an overview of your budget changes, some things that we should know about.
Yeah.
And talk about some of your goals for this next year.
Absolutely. So if you go to page 10 of the packet that I gave you there, is revenue adjustments. These just identify modified line items only. So registration auto fees, we've increased this line by $10,000. Actual collections have exceeded $300,000 in both '24 and '25. Auto use taxes increased by $14,300. This one I hadn't touched since I came into the office. I wanted to better understand what that looked like, so we've increased that substantially, give a better picture of those revenues coming in, or anticipating revenues coming in. Motor vehicle mailing fees, increased this by $1,000. This reflects the U.S. postage rate increases effective mid-2025. So it's a post correction. We've covered it and elsewhere in the budget. NSF check charge, we've increased that by $100. We've had kind of a run consistently of returned payments for dishonored checks, so that's been consistent, so we wanted to reflect that accurately. Convenience fees, new 27 budget amount of $25,000 is established. It's been consistent. Interest on investments, increased that by $202,000 from the 73. That one, I've talked to other treasurers across the state about this, and we're consistently significantly higher than that. If we were $73,000 a year, but not knowing what the market does, that kind of thing. Cassandra, I think, is kind of in the understanding that we're going to see, more than that, even though it's not reflected in the budget. It goes back to the fund balance. So that's on the revenue side of things. When we look at the expense on page 12, stationary forms and supplies in the motor vehicle, we reduced it by $750 just to fall in line of what we're usually seeing in that. Mileage increased by $75 from $25 to $100 because of the actual mileage reimbursements that we've seen. Education and training increased by $100. The annual trainings has historically been unfunded or underfunded there. Dues and memberships by $50. Minor equipment, it reduces that by $200. Just again representing what we're actually seeing historically. Postage and mailing, again, the $250 increase. Employee mileage, again, by $150. Longevity pay, it's very small amounts, but reduced or eliminated because of the longevity employees not being there any longer and qualifying for that. Health insurance, significant reduction across the three employee health expenses because they weren't taken. At this point in time, unsure what the future looks like with that. I think across expenses and revenues outside of salary discussion, these ebbs and flows actually coming into more check of actually what we're seeing coming in and going out for those things. So there's increases and there's decreases across the lines. The blue sheet that I handed out just a moment ago, you'll see at the top there, we have expenses and revenues on both of those with the requests and that. There's quite a bit of information that was compiled in here, kind of talking about what I felt most of your questions could be walking into this. Asking, look through it again. If you have questions, reach out to me. But when we look at the wages here, one of the things that I've picked up, and I just picked up listening to Darius just immediately before me, is that looking at the context of the factual data that's been presented to us through the Iowa Workforce Development Wage Study and also the ISAC Wage Salary Survey information. And I followed the same model, unknowing to me until Darius just explained it, of looking at like counties, similar situations, and using what the wage survey or wage study and the ISAC salary survey does is looked at a average of all county treasurers. And that's not an accurate representation of comparison to this. So just like Darius said, looking at like counties, like service, those types of things. I looked at, I ranked the counties by population, and then I removed all of the counties that don't provide driver's license services. So if you looked at the top 10 paid counties in the state of Iowa for treasurers, the top 9 don't provide driver's license services like Bremer County does.
Larger counties where the DOT has an office.
Correct, absolutely correct. So I don't think it's a valid factor to bring those higher paid counties into the salary average to say where a person is paid. So looking at those and then looking at the 5 or 10 right around Bremer County in population speaks to the wage that I put in there for myself. The deputies, they're separate from this conversation. I mean, they're tied to the budget, don't get me wrong. But the other issue of the wage study spoke to the 3 clerks in my office. The recommendation of the range there, I did not just throw them all at the top. They're spread out amongst that range. But in the blue sheet here, it talks about the total expense increase of the entire budget for this that I've requested. A total increase of $28,368.21. If we take into consideration that the recommended wage study put for those 3 clerks to get them to a comparable or a comparable wage, outside of the 2.8% COLA, you add that in as a base. From there to the salary study's recommendation, that would be $16,998.93, that difference to be funded. The COLA alone, the allowance for COLA based on this current year's wages is $10,308.40. Add those 2 together, and you can see the difference there of $1,262.91 is the actual request that's coming in. That if we did the COLA as the base, and we took into consideration the extra to fall in line with the wage study, the total ask there is a total budget increase of $1,262.91. That has nothing to do with revenue, nothing at all. So this does not factor in what the office produces by bringing in regional customers. The rest of the packet speaks to that. The analysis that I was able to get from other counties and kind of looking at staffing levels, my counterparts say I'm probably understaffed by 1 person. But that's being beat back by being able to focus on the back-end processing that we're having on Tuesdays. But again, this is not a request to expand services or add staffing. It focuses on operational sustainability, workload realities, including continued regional driver's license volume and targeted budget adjustments, particularly wage corrections supported by benchmarking and existing budget capacity. So the only other thing that I'd like to add on this is the packet also includes a transparency disclosure regarding the potential conflict for Supervisor Sherwinski related to one of my employees that would be taken into consideration as well. So I tried to present this as a data-driven overview of the statutory workload that we have, how that workload has shifted, and why the limited 27 recommendations are necessary to maintain an accurate, timely, and compliant public service delivery.
So one of the biggest questions that, we hear is the back-end processing on Tuesday, when will you be open up so it's consistent with all the other offices within Bremer County?
Right now, I could open up today, but I don't know what that service level is going to do because I've got a new employee starting next week to be at full staff. But again, when I bring somebody in, then somebody has to basically be training that person. So that dilutes the efficiency in the office until that person, gets to a level that they're able to do certain functions on their own so that other staff member can go back to their functions. I'm hopeful, in my analysis and talking to my staff, is all of my staff will have attended driver's license issuance training by the end of this fiscal year. By the end of this calendar year, we'll have, I'm gonna say 3 drive examiners. I've got 1 right now. So we'll be cross-trained, capable of doing things, but going back to your original question, March 11th of '25 was our first day of doing that. I'd like to get open back up, hopefully by the start of the fiscal year that we're talking about right here.
So July 1st is your...
That's my target date.
That's your
I
target
would like
date.
to.
Okay.
Right now, we're seeing great response to the fact that our electronic transactions we've been able to keep up. But obviously, if we open up and we get bombarded again, we may have situations where people are going to have to wait longer because they have to pull a counter clerk and say, you're not working the counter at all, we need to focus on this back work. And so there, at times, customers may feel a pinch when they come in, if that happens.
Yep.
So,
That's something where, I could see, a split shift, evening or something like that, or working with other treasurers, trying to, facilitate one back-end process for a region. So,
I have ideas about how some of our work could be regionalized by the state and reduce the unfunded mandates that we have. There's a lot of stuff that comes into our office, like our daily web stuff that we have. When you do your registration renewal online, that information comes to us, and as simple as it seems that we get that, we print it, we fold it and put it in an envelope. I would think that a resource where that comes to a centralized location, and as long as there's not plates being mailed out that are county-specific plates, all of those basic renewals with no plate going out could be done anywhere.
yep.
Why that has to fall on us, I don't know. Electronic registration and titling is another one that could be done that way, where a message goes out and says, hey, you need to send, print this title, print this registration, these plates, send it out. But somebody else has done the actual electronic title processing. But that's a discussion that goes much higher than
Careful
here.
what you ask for, though, because that means you're not gonna get the fees associated with it.
You're exactly
as well.
correct, Dewey.
So your revenue is gonna go down significantly.
Correct. And I don't want to push anybody out of a job, but I also am not here to do job creation, which falls on the taxpayers.
Mhm.
So I appreciate I will just say this, I do appreciate the cooperation, the respect that we have received from 99% of our customers that understand, once it's been explained to them, what the Tuesday closures have accomplished for us, what the intended results from that back in March were. We've seen exactly happen what the intended purpose was. There's not been a single day that the employees haven't been there on Tuesday doing the work.
Yeah, they're doing the back-end processing, it's just consistency, people
I
travel.
I
and then
agree.
They get, shocked because they didn't look first and so forth. So it's just consistency with our other offices.
Yep.
That's, I think, is good. So I applaud you trying to get this reopened by July 1st, get all your people trained, and so you can do it efficiency, and then continue to work with other treasurers and other options for some of these web enrollments or web applications, so.
Yep.
Good.
I appreciate your time, unless there's anything else. All right, thank you very much.
Scott's here, and he's gonna do Department 11 and 65.
Yep.
And once again, kind of highlight some of the changes, and then maybe some of your goals for this next year.
Okay, you want to start with GIS?
We can start with GIS. 65.
Yep.
We'll go to 65.
That one's pretty straightforward. It doesn't change a whole lot from year to year. But the only thing that changed is 444 there. That is where we pay software fees for Sidwell, Esri, and Beacon. And those are like other software fees. They go up every year, so that's the increase there. Otherwise, everything should be the same in that one.
Yep. Another $5,000 increase from last year for the software. Okay.
Yep. We can go on to maintenance if there's nothing else on that one.
Any questions for GIS?
All right. Maintenance side of things, not a whole lot changed. Am still looking at if we do the addition we put in last year for a part-time person. I did that again, but one thing is if we could start them earlier, like maybe October, we could probably take back the CBS snow that we haven't done the last 2 years. With another person, we could do that. I know last year we put in for $18 an hour, I believe it was, based off of what the law center had to hire for somebody. I put in at $20.50 an hour, just to, it seemed like based on what they had to pay, 18, we might not get somebody. Otherwise, going down line by line, most of them are staying the same. We upped tires, just a set of tires for an Explorer anymore is over $1,200, so that at $1,250 that barely got us one set, so we upped it to $1,850. I know the truck needs tires coming up; those were quoted at $1,500. Continuing to go down, natural gas. Even though Mid-America Sound noticed that it looks like there'll be a 13% increase, we left that the same. As with the new programming, we've been able to save some money in LP or natural gas the last couple of years. Electrical, with the state of the addition kind of up in the air, I'm not sure when they'll be hooking into our power and that kind of stuff. We did get a rate increase notice. We're also paying for the shop in Janesville now, so I did up that a little bit. Otherwise, most of them stayed the same except down till 487, and that is where we pay things like the Woodman maintenance contract, air services maintenance contract, boiler maintenance contracts, Schumacher elevator, stuff like that. Stuck in for the generator maintenance agreement and the generator monitoring, and that's where we're coming up with now is the 31,560. The rest of them should be the same.
Custodial supplies, that just increased because of the new addition, or?
That right now, that's stayed the same as last year, but yeah, we did increase it because of the addition last year, and the prices of stuff has been going up.
Okay. Because you only used a small portion of it thus far, so, okay, so that's increased from what, to the new addition. So if the new addition doesn't happen, I'm sure you probably have a draft plan of what this would look like, right?
A what plan?
A draft plan of
Yeah,
the budget.
a lot of this we could roll back some of it. I mean, obviously we wouldn't hire the third employee, stuff like that,
So I think if we went through and had a draft copy of that when we get to the public hearing, we would be through our numbers and it's a decision on the courthouse where we can pull that back out
Yeah, I mean, we should know
before we go
before we even.
to print.
Yeah, because the timing of everything is we have to give everything, or it has to be entered, so that Shelley can do her thing, because then statements go out after March 5th. And then we'll have our public hearing, our first public hearing, and then set the date for the next public hearing to be finished by the end of April. So
So we should
February
plan to-
gives us time to,
Well, if we could quantify that number,
Okay.
the with or without, just to help us,
Yep.
there's obviously some need to whittle some things down.
So, yeah, so Scott can meet with Cassandra to work on alternative if we don't go proceed.
Okay, yeah.
Otherwise, we got kudos for keeping the sidewalks and parking lot cleaned up for all the members coming in, so that was mentioned before this, so
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you guys, they're doing a good job
Nope.
making sure that people are safe coming in here.
Yep, that's one of the things we kind of pride ourselves on, so. We got a couple capital projects, if you want to go over those.
Yep.
These two are also kind of dependent on
And
what
that would
we,
be actually in which,
41.
41, I'm sorry.
these are kind of dependent on what direction we go with the courthouse remodel too. The first one is kind of a combination with IT. It's upgrade the courthouse security camera and panic alarm systems. This would be as part of the remodel. In case the remodel didn't go, the system is really old, the software is old, it can't be updated, we can't add cameras to it.
So that's in the middle of our sheet on 41, I think it's on building improvements, the courthouse security cameras, 156.
Yep,
Again, why wouldn't that be included in the capital or the project?
I put it in case the project doesn't go.
We're gonna do it regardless.
Yeah, I think we need to, yes.
Thank you for that clarification.
If the project goes, we could
Are all
probably,
those numbers in the project?
those numbers are in the project, yes.
Thank
I
you.
If we-
subtracted that out when I came to my numbers for the project, knowing
But-
it was
but these are-
separate.
There's
A little different numbers because,
Yep, I just had
Okay.
to go with,
okay.
Some of the wiring is included in
Yes,
this building
yep.
project that would have to be standalone in this proposal.
Yep.
So this may have to go up a little bit.
No,
this
this,
reflects that wiring.
we got a separate bid for not having it as part of the project.
Okay, so that's the courthouse security cameras, and you want to go to the one above, the tuck pointing, or?
Sure. The tuck pointing one, this is something we've talked about for the last 5 or 6 years. We kind of held off to do it as part of the project and then it ended up getting pulled out. So we had CEDOF come over and they do a thermal imaging with a drone. Their report was attached. We are getting some water issues up on 3rd floor. And then this is their recommendation and price to do tuck pointing, fix the brick, fix some lintel issues, and also then clean and waterproof everything.
And once again, like in Dewey's, I mean, so if we do the courthouse remodel project, how much of this?
None, because we took all the tuck pointing out of the remodel project.
Well, I mean, I assume we're not tuck pointing the stuff that we're going
You'd
out this
still
way.
need to tuck point 3 sides,
Yes, yeah,
and it needs to be done.
Yeah.
We've pushed it down the road far enough, it needs to be done.
Okay. And they can go simultaneously as we're working on, if we do the remodel, they can be doing tuck pointing on the other sides.
yes, we'd have to work with them.
Okay. Great. Did you have another request? in
Nope,
here?
nope, just those two.
Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep.
And any goals, any changes that you're gonna be doing this next year?
No, the big thing is we'll be updating the GIS software program, so we'll be doing some training on that, and then, maintenance-wise, kinda depends on what happens with the remodel project. That'll steer, big thing on what we do, so.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Probably do job descriptions as far as
Yep.
PPE.
Mhm.
Problem is under is they don't fit in your booklet. I gotta complain about something.
I think so. Yeah, and that way we've got it signed off on doing it, but that's what I thought.
We'll get started in a few minutes.
Cyclone back on the winning path, or
Yeah, they kind of lost their minds there for a week.
couple, 10 days worth.
Yeah.
Both girls and boys.
Oh, boy, the girls were bad.
Yeah. Girls are missing that.
But, yeah.
Tabby Brown.
Kirby announced big.
That can happen when you lose somebody
Yeah.
that as good as she is.
Right.
Tough situation. Depth is a pretty important thing.
Yeah.
Those games, you know, Iowa lost a starting guard 10 seconds into the game. It sounds
Yeah.
like maybe a season ending.
Oh,
and
really? I
They
haven't seen
confirmed it
that.
yesterday.
The girl came in that replaced her was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And she's gonna be a
Mhm.
true freshman. Well, yeah, I think that deal is a true freshman. He's the real deal for sure.
Yeah.
McCabe's sister plays at Drake, and she went down with a knee injury too.
Are
Same
you
day.
kidding? Same day?
Yeah.
Wow. That's bizarre.
Yeah.
ACLs. So you guys are supposed to do your laps. I think, Corey, didn't you want to do laps or something like that?
Oh, I missed it. Well, Landon will have a short update. I'll get time.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot this morning.
I was giving someone some grief, but marathon schedule this morning on the agenda.
Okay, we'll get started. Landon, County Engineer, weekly update.
Don't have a whole lot, but did want to update on the rumble strips we talked about. We did not get the grant. The way that is written, just simply redoing the rumble strips actually isn't eligible for that grant anymore. May not have been last time we got it. I probably shouldn't say that on camera, but I don't think we were probably supposed to get that one in talking with the grant coordinator. So, just so happened I had a meeting with Denko about crack sealing north of Sumner there, and got a quote from them, and it's actually less than the last time we had rumble strips done on our other ones. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign that, and we'll get them signed up for some of our worst locations, get those done.
Are we gonna do them all then, or?
We probably won't do all of them that we had on the grant, just because that was a lot of them that we really didn't need to do them, but if we were gonna get free money, we'll do them. But we picked some of the worst locations and submitted that to them for the quote, so. Viking in
I just wanna make
93
sure we
and,
get get them all done that are even close to being,
Yep.
needing it, because we got some that are just absolutely non-existent.
Viking in 93 and Viking in 3 are by far the two worst.
They are the worst.
They're on there. So those were really the key ones. Other than that, I don't have a whole lot. It's really cold.
Compliment on gravel roads, I'm happy that we did what we could do out on.
Yeah, it
them.
was
So,
tough.
why was the county line east so bad this time around? With all our other roads, every other county blacktop was really pretty good.
I don't know why that
But
one got so
held
bad.
ice like
Yeah.
crazy. Is it the newer surface, or?
I wouldn't think. Normally, the newer surface gets a little, well, of course, it wouldn't have mattered if it get a little warmer when it's negative 20 out, but normally the newer surface warms up a little better and melts off. But
I traveled it yesterday, and a week later, it's still got some
Yeah.
ice that you could lose control on if you
Mhm.
weren't careful.
Could be that little bit of marginal temperature difference in the wind, I mean,
Yeah.
made it stick where.
Yep.
I didn't know if it was something to do with the maintenance and how we're sharing that with Fayette. And
Right.
not getting peeled off as soon, and with all the truck traffic going to the ethanol plant in
Yep.
Fairbank.
Probably a little bit of everything. And I don't know, I didn't drive that one after, but we treated the rest of them pretty heavy. I don't know if that one didn't get treated as heavy right away to get that melted off before it gets packed down like that.
I was with some people yesterday, and they weren't complaining there, but they noticed it, and
Mhm.
they said, you know, at this point, you really can't do anything with it.
Right.
The wind will just blow off whatever you try to put on.
Right.
Could potentially make it worse, so.
We don't do pre-treatments like the DOT, or?
No, Todd, well, we did this time actually, but Todd experimented with that, and what he found with that is, I don't know if we weren't putting enough down at the time, but we ended up getting a lot more sticking because of that. It blows across and sticks to that wet surface. So we typically haven't, we did sort of this time just because we treated on, I'm not gonna remember days, but we treated the day before, so we treated like Saturday and we had all that blowing Sunday. But we were able to peel it off pretty good in most areas, so. It's not something we've typically done, but we kind of accidentally did a little experiment with it here this last week, and it worked pretty well, I'd say, but.
The state's budget for it must be phenomenal.
Yeah, they
because,
put down a lot of
I mean,
product to
they
do that.
It's just almost like it's rained
Right.
on the.
Well, the roads look white.
Yeah.
They're white the day after,
Yeah.
but when they're putting it down, it looks.
Yeah, they
like
go down heavy. They have that big
raining.
tanker truck they put it down with.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Great. Anything else?
Nothing else from me this morning.
Thank you very much. We'll let
Thank
go.
you.
Thanks, London.
Take a quick break here, so you can stretch.
Sunday we ran down to Cedar Falls to check on some of our accounts. And I was following a semi in kind of by the power plant, and it was just a cloud of brine dust, like the wheels of it were kicking up.
The weird thing is that stuff sticks to a vehicle worse than anything else. It can be as dry as it could be, and it still will stick to your vehicle. I drive a black vehicle, and you drive a black, clean vehicle on a dry blacktop with that stuff on, or high, it's white.
That worked for me. Fixed for me. I haven't tried it.
If that is what you wanted.
I think so. It's something like it.
Morning, Barb.
Okay. I didn't mean to bother you yesterday, Cassandra. I forgot it was payroll too.
No, you're
Or
fine.
some
I
out there,
haven't even started. do you know, how do you find the most current version of an Iowa code? Because the one I'm looking at here, I'm trying to look to see, now that you guys are setting the salary of elected, what is our process for that? It always was a resolution you did at the time of compensation board making recommendations, and then at the point of the public hearing, it was a resolution you did to either pass them the way they were or not. I don't know what it looks like now, and when in this process you actually set that. And for whatever reason, every Iowa code I can find is the old version that.
Okay. I'll search, see what I find.
It's not in my instructions like it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fresh off the phone, sorry.
Oh.
And then this morning, for the first time ever, I had troubles with that.
Oh, yeah, that's how it works, yeah. Your cough just seems to hang in there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All righty. We have Barb Meeker, Human Resources here, and we're going to be going through budget item 35, sheet 35, Department 35. And once again, Barb, you can just kind of highlight the changes and then kind of talk about your goals this next year.
Okay, just looking at wages for the upcoming year, I'm looking at a 2.8% or whatever the standard cost of living is. That is going to be offered to probably the majority of the employees. Looking down at the expenses, I made no adjustments for the upcoming year. I haven't made adjustments for the last couple of years to this, other than the wage portion and the unknown health insurance portion on that. So I see no increases in any of my line items for the upcoming year.
Yeah, at some point in time, you may want to visit like stationary forms. You know, a lot of departments have gone down since, you know, most of it's printed yourself instead of ordering stuff like that.
Well, my big item out of that are the annual benefits guides, which are 20-some pages in length that I have to print for all full-time, part-time. I did try that one year, printing all of that myself, and it took hours upon hours, and by the time you add in the cost of all the toner cartridges I had to replace,
Yeah.
I was probably better outsourcing that, but that is my one big item
Good.
in that.
Is that something that could be done electronically instead of, could we, as employees, could we send out a questionnaire to say, would you prefer to receive this document electronically?
We could do that,
And
and
save?
see what your preference is. We could save on that.
Yeah, I think
if
we should
if I
look
know
into
ahead of
that,
time.
because honestly, I would
Mhm.
prefer to have it electronically.
Okay. Mhm.
You can send it out as a PDF, and then if they want one printed, they would have to come to your office. And you can, you know,
Okay.
pick one up.
Or I could print some standard stock for like secondary roads, some of those outlying that
Yep.
not all the employees have a county email. I can do that, but that is the one big item that I have been using that for.
And, yeah, or I wouldn't even send out the link. I mean, you send out a link, here it is. It's not personalized.
Well, I know that we're working on a new website, and we haven't had any training or much information on that yet. I'm hoping for maybe an employee page
Okay.
on that website to where I can
Well, I
do
would
some of
talk
that
to her.
digitally, such as handbook, forms,
Yep,
tax
talk to
forms.
them now,
that type of
so
thing.
they get
Mhm.
that space.
I have,
Okay.
yes.
I don't have any other questions.
Good. Goals this next year. One thing that we talked about is department head reviews, making sure employees get annual reviews, and including supervisors, making sure we do our reviews. Hopefully, you'll be tracking that. And just definitely appreciate your help on our wages, you know, continuing to review our positions across the board and making sure that we have like salaries for common positions. They're not common, of course, it's harder, but if we do have common positions within our structure, we should have, wages should be, you know, within line.
That should be the next thing looked at, is across the board,
Okay.
similar positions across the county, to see how we compare in that respect. I was actually kind of happy with the study that most of our employees did fall within the range of the analysis. That's kind of a good feeling.
Yeah, I think
that we
as a
were-
whole, Bremer County
as a
was
whole.
on the right
Mhm.
track. We had some,
Yes.
you know, a few that needed to be reviewed or adjusted, so, but let's continue that path. I do see that we need to make sure, like I said, common positions are more aligned.
Department 71, did you and Cassandra want to talk about that? That's on the list also.
We can jump to 71. Safety risk.
Looking at the wages on that, both Cassandra and I get a stipend for the work that we put into the safety and risk. Just put it at 2.8% increase for the upcoming year, if that's going to be our cost of living. And I don't believe we took an increase at all last year when it came to wages. So this would be our first increase for this work. Looking at the expenses, again, we kept everything the same as what it had been in the prior year. So no changes there. And then looking at the revenue or the miscellaneous reimbursements, that $1,000 is showing our annual IMWCA grant that basically comes in and goes out within the same fiscal year.
That's our ICAP.
Or ICAP, sorry,
Yep.
ICAP. And that's something, since we do have, try to have monthly meetings with our Safety and Risk Committee, that is something that we discuss. So it's not the benefit of any particular department, but a benefit to all county employees across the board when it comes to safety. So that is something that we do spend time on and get different opinions and just look to see what we could fill that with. And of course, ICAP has limitations on that as well, so it's not just money that we're spending. It's something that we fall within, spend within their guidelines.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good committee for the public. I mean, trying to make sure that we have a safe environment for all our employees and tackle things as we progress, make changes, tackle some of these places where we could hurt our employees. So,
Yes.
so good work there.
The split that Barb and I are doing within this department has been working out. I handle the work comp and the ICAP claims, so our insurance is that way. Barb's our trainer and does driver license checks, and then we both handle the safety meetings. So as of right now, it's worked and we both back each other up. So.
And do you see that like in the next 5 years, continue a 50-50 kind of split there, or do you think it should be, go more to HR or what?
I handle all the insurances, so that's primarily why I've stayed in that role.
Okay.
And that is a big part of it. She does a very good job with handling the insurance side of it, and I prefer the training. Actually, if there was a split, I would split it exactly as what we have right now.
Good.
Thank you. What does John have to drive up here from for the drainage district annually?
I'm not sure if he comes all the way from Des Moines or not.
Is he in the Boone area? I thought Nancy told us he was in the Boone area, but maybe it isn't.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Hopefully he's catching a couple of counties on his way through there. That's a long drive for.
For a half hour. If
Two
that.
minutes.
Thank you, Barb.
Yep.
You just go up, maybe remind Missy that she's next.
I will let her know.
Great, thank you.
New basketball game? New basketball game tonight?
Yeah, but we're not going because it's in Solon. It's too far to drive for.
I drove to Solon for football this fall.
Good for you. I was in Marion last night. We were in Cedar Falls. Every day there's basketball somewhere between middle school and high school. So No speech contest. I never realized that speech contests really aren't speeches, they're really
What's-
plays. We've sat through a couple of them, and they
He's
all
all hairy.
have books, and, I mean, they have to do facial expressions and things, but they basically read the play from a book, the art from a.
Oh, good, I don't have to
book,
shave.
and That's a speech contest.
Yeah, I think there's a couple different, venues or types
So
of.
this one was at Cedar Falls High School. Talk about I'm glad I don't pay taxes in that school district.
I was
Been there for-
noticing your,
What's that?
I was noticing your extra
It's cold out.
facial hair.
Helps keep me warm, Missy.
Darius is trying to convince Bob to join the
Oh,
club.
yeah. Bob says forget it.
You had a beard once. You've never? It seems like, I remember
Had a
seeing.
goatee for, like a month, but that was,
That was enough, huh?
yeah. Beards are always too itchy.
I never believed it was right during wearing a uniform, so I never had one for all those years in the sheriff's office and as a policeman even. And, well, back when I was a policeman, if you'd have grown a beard and shown up in uniform, the chief would have said,
Go home and shave.
go home and shave or go home and don't come back.
You know, if you think about it, you really don't see a lot of any law enforcement with beards, really, if you think.
It's becoming more common.
Oh, is it? Well, there's a lot of things becoming more common.
Things have changed.
Alrighty, we have Department 7, and so once again, kind of just talk about the changes within your budget, and then maybe kind of highlight some of the goals you have this next year, so. Once you're ready, we'll get started.
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Fantastic. So Missy Thurm, our recorder, will give her updates.
Updates in my office. My project with ArcaSearch is finished on site. I'm finishing that up. Off
You
site.
need to speak up a little bit, or
Okay.
the recorders won't be able to hear you.
Okay. They're finishing up my ArcaSearch project. They finished on site. Now they're doing behind the scenes to get it up and going so it's online. So that was good to get done with. Now we're just, as a recorder association, we're sitting back waiting to see where this tax reform thing goes. That's concerning to all of us. I don't know, I don't really have a lot of updates other than that.
Yeah, and just remind the public, what images or what documents did you scan that
We
will now be
scanned-
available?
It's all of our older records, back to, some of them are actually back to the 1800s. They scanned all those. There can be visible through ArcaSearch online. And
At no cost to people.
yes, as of now, yes. I know some other entities, they do charge. I haven't sat down with ArcaSearch yet, but that might be something to look into, since they are receiving all of the images for free and not coming in and getting copies. So that's something to talk about later when they get my project finished. But, yeah.
So you'll be reaching out to other counties and maybe kind of coalescing around what other counties do and for this type of stuff. So-
Right, and I do know what some of them already do.
Okay,
It's just a matter of, I need to sit down with ArcaSearch and see if it's,
okay.
we have that capability and
'Cause
what
you-
it would take.
Probably what you'd want to do is if there's any licensing fee or something like that, try to cover those costs
Right.
for this convenience.
Correct.
Okay, so you'll be looking at that and then maybe getting back to us in the next couple of months?
I can do that, yeah,
Yeah,
most
by-
certainly.
Yeah, so hopefully by July 1st, I think if you can have a plan on that.
Yep.
Overall, Missy, year in and year out, you and your office do a great job.
Thank you.
I rarely get anybody that complains about service or anything, so
That's good to
from
hear.
that perspective, keep up the great work. And
If I have some good employees.
they are the backbone.
They definitely are. Couldn't do without them, that's for sure.
I don't have any other questions.
I don't have anything for you, Missy.
Great. So, yeah, thank you for giving us an update on the image project.
Oh, I should mention, I do plan to get a hold of the Waverly paper and do an article.
Okay.
So I
Well,
can
she's
make.
right there, so.
So I can make the public aware that this is available to them. I'm kind of waiting to see when they're actually have it all up and ready. That's when I think I'll reach out to you and, yeah, because, I mean, a lot of people are really excited about it. So, and it's also good to know that my job as a registrar, elected official for recorders, is to keep them records safe.
Yeah.
And this way, we have another backup if something terrible should happen. So, I'm glad I was allowed to do it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was out of our capital dollars, so
Yep,
one-time expense, but yeah, work on your plan for licensing, any licensing expenses, so. And Mira does a great job on public education in her newspaper, so she'll be glad to sit down with you and
that's my plan.
so awesome. And then, yeah, you may, think about maybe an outreach at the library, some, show people how to do it one day.
Actually, I have been contacted by the,
Historical or,
yes, they want me to do like a little program.
yep,
So I am going to do that.
so that'd be something, yeah, you can do that, and then maybe at a library or two that you can do the same thing.
Yep.
I could see something like that to help educate people about this opportunity, so.
Sounds good.
Great. And then, I think, kind of with Shelley and you, I mean, we do have a lot of documents that just making sure that our documents have disposal dates and making sure that we are adhering to our document retention.
I can't get rid of mine. None of my in the document, not like the old.
Correct.
Yeah,
But
that,
there's other documents that, are.
Oh,
we
yeah, I
keeping-
know.
Are we keeping documents too long, and et cetera,
Right.
so.
That retention manual is something that needs to come here for approval so that we have approval to destroy documents.
I have a retention manual through the recorders,
Right.
but
Can you two work on that and then bring something to us?
Sure.
Okay. That would help guidance. Yeah, we have a lot of documents. When I walk around, there's a tremendous amount of stuff. that-
yeah, I have stuff in my back room that I could get rid of. It's from, it's just, it always makes me nervous to like get rid of things. 'Cause I don't want to cross the line and get rid of something I shouldn't have.
Yep, but we need to follow our standards, our retention standards, and once it comes with the label date, we should be getting rid of it, and if we don't have a label, we need to label it, so.
Sounds good.
Protects everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you two can work on that, that'd be something in the summertime we could get out, that'd be awesome.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Anything else for your department?
Not really that I can think of. They did release our e-filing has really gone crazy. For our county e-sub ratio, we are at 77.22% of all of our real estate documents are being recorded electronically. So, a lot of people are utilizing that,
Okay.
so.
With that process, obviously there's less counter work in your office, like documents coming in.
Yeah.
But is there still?
And honestly, most of that really wasn't counter work anyway, it's through the mail.
Okay.
Once in a while, we'll have counter, they'll bring it in over, but
How does it affect, I mean, the overall workload, you know, when it's already scanned and, you know, electronically, what process in your office?
it, there still has to be work done to index it and, you know, all that things. The only thing that is being left out is the scanning part of it,
Okay.
which it's not that pertinent, but
Okay.
there's still work to be done even though they are electronically filed.
You still have to scan it into our, no?
Not when it's electronic file, it just comes, it goes into our system.
Okay.
It's just the documents through the mail and over the counter that get scanned into our system, physically scanned.
Scan, and then you have to index, and you
Yep.
say index.
And then we
against it.
verify and, and then every night around 5 o'clock, all of our images get sent automatically to Iowa Land Records. So we have to make sure everything's up to standard before it actually gets to them, so.
Great. Okay,
All right.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Missy.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Is Derek Weigel already on the EMS Systems Advisory Council before he took over for Nick Med as the,
No, he replaced Nick.
okay, as new, so he probably needs to take that good training then too, because that was after July 1st.
That would be. Mhm.
I didn't think he was on before that. We'll have to reach out to him then too.
Yeah, it was like a September, yeah, September. Yeah, came on.
Yep. I'd like to, wanted to ask you to see if that was for sure.
Cassandra, when you made the budgeted 27 numbers by fund, are you using the levy rates of last year, current budget?
Or,
Like budget revenue for 26, 27 for general fund, general supplemental?
general fund, I went to $3.50. General supplemental, I stayed the same. Rural basic, I went to $3.95.
Do you remember what GS is at right now? What are we at, 7?
We are at 1.8. Got the paper somewhere. $1.22007.
Okay,
So
thank you.
$1.22.
Thank you. $3.95 maximum, basic, isn't it? $3.95 is top of this peak of the basic.
With the growth this year, we were able to go back to, if you so choose, the maximums on both
Okay.
the basics.
All righty. We are at 10:45, Cassandra Finance. We have a couple departments we're going to be reviewing. Department 34, 69, 73, and 85. So we'll start out with 34 in our books.
Let me know when you're ready.
We're ready.
Wage, cost of living. Expenditures are reduced. Employee expense, if I typically go to meetings, I just drive back. So I went ahead and lowered that. There are still some trainings out there that do cost to go to. ISAC being one of them. I don't always go to ISAC. There isn't always enough on the agendas for me to warrant paying the price. Otherwise, everything else I left the same except for wages and benefits. So it ended up being a 2.175% overall increase in my budget.
Everything seems to align. Any questions on Department 34? Seeing none, we'll go to 69.
69 is the solid waste fee fund, and each year I submit to Blackhawk County from the landfill what we've done for recycling, so it's tires, appliances and whatnot, and then they have a fund of counties, and they distribute money back to us that goes to our recycling program. So you're gonna see an expense for it to be transferred out, and then you see the money coming in. Money comes in the fiscal year before it's transferred out.
Any questions? Okay. We'll go to 73.
73 is our economic development revolving fund. And for the last couple of years, we've been budgeting for $5,000 from the general fund to turn around and either spend on a project and or transfer it to this fund to keep the balance there. And as of right now, we have a little over 116,000 in that.
I think that that's something that in the future we should look at, developing a program, if you will, for entrepreneurs or somebody in the county that would like to see some benefit from economic development program here in Bremer County. I think there's some ways that you could, either through loans or through grants, to get some development inspired in the county. That's a whole nother
Isaiah
conversation.
could maybe give some guidance what some other counties do or something too.
So I think that we're doing the right thing by putting some dollars back into it. Maybe we should even get a little more aggressive, but I don't think this is the year to get aggressive.
And last
So-
year, you went ahead and did an amendment
Right.
and gave 45,000 to the fair to help with their heating and cooling in their one building. We
Right.
also have a federal economic development fund as well that's got a little over 34,000 in it. So it's a combination of both of those.
I agree with you. We need to get a plan at some point in time, so. Department 85.
Department 85 is community-based services, and you'll see, you have a wage sheet there that does a cost of living increase, along with this board approved maybe 3 years ago now our step plan that we're on right now, so there are some step increases there. And this accounts for all the shifts we need to cover, so you'll see open shifts on there or open positions. That just means that we have shifts that are earning employees overtime because we don't have enough employees to cover every shift. And then the next two sheets are estimated expenses and estimated revenue. One big increase or decrease that I did was the transportation. We no longer serve a member that was being transported to Blackhawk County. So we're able to save about 12,000 there for transportation fees. We do transport, but typically it's only
Within town.
within town. It just takes too much time to do it ourselves otherwise.
Okay, so this is through Intercog Transportation.
As of right now, this is on ID waiver. It's part of the fee we have in reimbursement. If a member has day have, we would have to provide that service at our cost, but not with our HAB.
You know, it's pretty amazing that we can continue to sustain this business and offer this service to people of Bremer County and beyond. And at little to no cost to the local taxpayer through property taxes. Of course, it's still tax dollars coming back from the federal government, but good job again by CBS and its staff and yourself. It's not easy to manage that when we're constantly fighting with shortage in people and homes and so forth, but the numbers look solid.
Yeah, this program has turned around. I mean,
Yep.
it's holding its own. We do ask for a contribution of 50,000. We've done that for a few years now. That allows us to keep our vehicle fleet a little bit more modern rather than just driving.
Pretty small investment for the services that we're providing, so. And compared to years ago, Shelley, you were around when things weren't so great down with how that program was running, so I'm proud to say we've turned it around.
Yeah, we had years where I'd have to call the auditor's office to see if we to hold claims or not. We're not in that predicament right now.
So what would it take, what would have to do differently to be a true enterprise fund? And so we wouldn't have to subsidize it at all.
You could choose to do that right now, and we would just have to figure out, you know, whether or not we could afford newer vehicles or get used and try and get quality used.
And we've captured all the revenue sources as possible, all our fees are set at the max.
Yep, yep, those are flat rates. There's no change in those. We're primarily Medicaid reimbursed. There isn't a whole lot other than rents, and we're capped there either as well because 3 of the 6 locations are low-income housing, so you can only charge so much. Those are fees. We try and get every grant we can, and I think we've been
Very
fairly
successful.
successful. New roof coming at Waverly.
And all of our units right now are rented, or what was the 2 of them? 2?
Yeah, right now we have 3 open, but 2 are being filled here in February. And that's on the housing side of things. On the county side of things, we've got 1 apartment open.
Great. Anything else for Cassandra? 34, 69, 73, 85?
I don't have anything.
Yeah, good job.
Great. morning, Dan. We'll start here at 11, and you're right on time, and you have Department 5 and 37.
Yep.
So you can talk about some of the changes from the previous year, and then at some point in time, probably give us an update of any new initiatives or things that you'll be looking at. Any new initiatives or goals for the upcoming year. So, but first of all, we'll hit your two of them, Department 5 and then 37, and then you can talk about any initiatives or goals, changes. So, welcome, Sheriff. So we'll go to budget number 5.
Okay.
Turn it over to you.
Oh, it's pretty straightforward. I put 3.8% in, as you guys requested, for everybody. We did talk about the lower deputies at 1% in the step area, which got added in. And then I think when Barb was here, she talked about the 1% for Carrie, Kayla, and Kyle. I did move that back to 2.8 because, like I said, I think that's a slap in the face to somebody. And again, I put it back in the budget because I just feel it's a cost of living, and I've done nothing in any wage to get Kayla where she is. I mean, I've done just what the county's allowed each year. So I've not added any extra on any of them, actually, except in this case, the year we could do that 3%. I did do the 3% for everybody, extra. So, and the jail's the same way. I did 2.8% for everybody in that, too.
So I know when we talked about wages as a group, you know, we saw two things. One is some discrepancy between your deputies. So we had an idea, you know, 1%, 1%, 1%, and then over time it would be cleared up, especially by then, you know, I'm not doing any forecasting, but it'd be nice by the end of your term to get things, salaries aligned. If you don't do it this way, what is your idea how to get those aligned in a timely manner?
Well, with the 1%, it brought about, I don't know, it was like 46, I think it brought into 38 or 100 difference from those two to where the others are for top pay. And again, 1%, it's, I mean, I didn't do anything different because I know we got a certain amount of money that we have to spend. So I just put that 1%. And I think if we do it, I don't know if it'll happen while I'm here, but I mean, unless budgets change and the counties have more money allocated, that's why I only did the 1, just to slowly move them in, you know, to catch up, I guess.
Other questions?
Your increase in overtime shift pay, is that just a function of higher wages, or do you expect
Yeah, if you
more
look
hours?
at the previous, and I didn't even put what we spent last year, I kind of kept it down because if you look at the previous year,
You're on track
on the
to
1,
exceed-
it was like,
You're on track to exceed your budgeted amount.
well, I have because I'm trying to keep it limited because I know we have limited resources. So last year was 27, the year before we spent 30,651. And that ends up being like if you're working a holiday, that time and a half. And if you're off the holiday on the 6 and 3 people, they get an extra day's pay, they don't get another day off. So that's all figured into there. And then in each category, you know, you have like the detective doesn't get a lot of overtime because he does take the holidays off, and same with Robert. But the others, if they're on a 6 and 3, they work, and if they're off, they get an extra day's pay. Food, I did talk to her, I'm gonna leave it because look at what we spent before. I just finally got a call back this morning. I figured a 3%, but in the contract it shows 5, the last one, and then, or the CPI, well, she said it'll be 5. Then I looked at what we paid last year and where we're at. We'll make it work with the 3. So I put 3% in. And again, we have been receiving more federal inmates because we take some that have to go to court, which is kind of a pain, but then if we didn't have those, we would be down some, and we get paid to take people to court. It's just once in a while I have to send a deputy. And like today, John, the jail administrator, goes, and but again, if we didn't have those, we'd probably be down like 5 or 6, and they don't go to court every day. They might be here one this week and maybe 2 weeks another one, but there's usually quite a few that, I think this week we had a transport every day almost. So, but that keeps us up numbers too for the federal. So, I think it's better to do it that way than lose the that.
Yeah, as long as you're not incurring overtime or something.
No, we're not paying overtime for
Well,
it.
and those are during the day shift where you're here to cover, and so I mean, we still have adequate coverage.
Right,
in the
we
county.
have coverage. That's not the case, and it's usually during the day, so I'm there, Robert's there, Jason's there. So if we have to pull a road deputy that's gone, we would still be there to back the whoever's out, up, so. On the revenue, I mean, again, I'm not sure how you guys want to do it. I'm always conservative when I put revenue because I don't know how you really want that. And if you look at like the one part under that 85,900 account, you know, last year we had 44,530. I budgeted 35. I put 35 in again, but we've already brought in 17. And I think these, Cassandra, do they go through like the end of November? Most of them?
In November.
Yeah. So I'm assuming we could bump that up 5. And again, that money goes, it's got to be allocated to like, you could put salary in it, but then we do like prescriptions and medical costs out there too, that it's got to be allocated for those things. And then the transport, I've been kind of conservative there. You know, the last 2 years we've had about 44,000. I bumped it up 5. It looks like we brought in 25 already, and easily could put that to 40 if that would help. So that would be an increase of revenue about 50,000 over last year, and if we would get more federal monies, that would be a bonus, I guess.
Yeah, I think you just need to work with Cassandra, and you know, when you estimate the revenues, yeah, I like your idea of being conservative, but if it's, you know, too far from past experience, yeah, we can up it. Just work with Cassandra on those things, so.
I mean, I think I feel comfortable on those 2 items for sure, that we could probably, so it'd be 5, it'd be another, yeah, so it'd be 15.
Cassandra, is that okay? We can work with you.
I mean, I just think, I've always been conservative on it. We've always, like last year, I think we had 118 over what we projected. That's getting pretty close. So,
Yeah, if you feel comfortable with the numbers, we can adjust those revenues. That's the less we got to ask for. All for finding those gains.
I'm willing to work with any department or elected office, but I don't touch their numbers unless,
Well, as finance director, if I know Dan's elected, but if it seems to be out of whack over time, then yeah, you should feel comfortable on, asking that to them. How do you feel about this? And once again, Dan is correctly right. You want to estimate low on your revenues, but you want to be, if you're safe, yep, I'm going to make this, yeah, we can raise it.
and
I think-
I don't struggle with letting departments, elected officials know when they look a little low, but that's all I can do, and if they still choose to stay low.
Yep.
I
hear
kind
you.
of, watch it pretty close. I just, I get a printout every, I don't get the revenue every month, but I get the expenses every month that automatically sends out, which is nice. But I kind of, every so often, I'll get a little Cassandra, hey, where are we at?
Yep.
So,
Great, so you'll meet with her, get that kind of cleaned up, so that's awesome for Department 5. Other questions for Department 5? So we'll go to Department 37. So this is our Public Safety Department, Dan, 37.
and again, 2.8, I only had really one dispatcher that won't be at top pay, that was 89 cents, and thanks Cassandra for catching that. So, somehow it ended up giving her 9 cents, and I just was, but then I had done the expense side. I'd sent it initially to you when we were just sending expenses, but then I had to transfer the other stuff. Expense side on that looks inflated because of the concrete that we did add at the Law Center. And again, I think Waverly's doing the same thing that I'm guessing we will. If we do it, we're not gonna be, it won't be a monthly added into the payment to the Law Center. It will be, if it's done, and it'd be like we did the jail controls. We let them know this is what your percent, this is what it'll be, and it'll be paid in one lump sum.
Why don't you just, since the public's viewing it, why don't you describe that project a little bit?
So, if the courthouse project goes, I think it was discussed, the concrete in front of the Law Center is kind of, certain areas are raising, some of the curb is coming apart, the parking lot is coming apart in places, and I was asked to put it on the law board agenda, which was discussed there, approved through the law board agenda, and added into the law board budget. So that would replace the parking lot, part of the parking lot of the amount that we got for, that we put in there, which the other part would be done with the courthouse if the courthouse project moves forward. But beyond that, that's, the law board actually consists of running the building, basically, and the custodian salary is
There's some
in that
sidewalk
tier.
repairs over there too.
Yeah, the side,
Front sidewalk.
that whole front
repair,
sidewalk would be done, and then
Like
the
the ADA
scoops.
ramps.
Yeah.
Any questions here?
I don't have anything.
Department 41, capital projects.
Okay.
Okay, I put the 3 vehicles in that we do. We're about 65, almost 6,600 less than last year asking. And keep in mind, back in 2018, when we hired a deputy, I wasn't gonna ask for a new vehicle for him, we were gonna use a spare. And then the Fords, back then we were buying all Fords, the cost was gonna go up tremendously, like about $6,000. And then the board decided back then we would buy the 4 with the understanding that every 4 years we'd have to buy 4. I've never asked for 4, I've asked for 3. We can make it work, I mean, it just, without doing the 4, so I put 3 cars in. Again, if we I put an estimated revenue of 25. I'm sure we're gonna get that because the Tahoes do hold their value pretty good.
Where do you anticipate those being at for mileage when we sell them?
About 110 to 115,000. Some of the night cars could be a little bit more than that even because, you know, they don't have the calls as much as they have a lot of miles they travel just patrolling.
Great. Any other questions?
The availability of cars improved? Is the availability of cars improved, like from state bid? We're able to,
I didn't hear what you said.
is the availability of cars, I know we went through it where it was like.
No,
you
they're
quote, you
usually
could
now.
get.
It's usually, it's not bad to get now. That one year, we had a real tough time thinking that they had allocation. During the COVID time, they didn't have chips, they didn't have certain things. Now, it's not as big of a deal. Usually you can order and you can kind of specify when you want them. I don't like getting them in the middle of the winter, you know, but usually wait till like spring, like the 26s will be April-ish and be set up in April. Then usually the sloppy roads are out of the way, and then it gives us still some time to sell them before the budget year end. So
Good.
I still think it's better to do what we do. We get probably about double selling the way we do than trading them, because you're gonna get about 14 or 15 trading them. And sell them on your own, even like the Fords. We did have a little tougher time getting rid of them on the 2020s. But trade-in would have been probably about 5,000, 4,000 to 5,000 less even, because they want to get like 4,500 on the trade-in. And so, again, I don't know what they do with them. I'm sure they sell them to somebody for more, so.
Yeah. Good. Well, appreciate going through these budgets. Overall, any changes you expect in your department for the public to know? You know, any initiatives you got next year?
Well, we're always looking at ways to, you know, like the federal contract, you know, like I said, with that, you have a lot of extra work, having more inmates because you deal with more issues. But when you look at the overall picture, it's still, I think, is great for Bremer County. You're bringing in $1.3, $1.4 million or more. Even like this year, you know, with the revenue, I mean, you're bringing in, with everything, that's talking about serving papers, even not adding that other in yet, it would be $1,605,000 that you're bringing as revenue, so that kind of offsets the expense that we have too in the budget. So. That contract is up. It was up in October. I did go in and create a LEAP account, but there's a lot more than just plugging in a number too. It's a couple-day job, and I'm just going to look and see. I don't know how it's going to turn out. We were very fortunate last time to gain the $20 an inmate more for revenue. So I don't know how much more is left there to. I know Lynn County gets more because they have like staff on with doctors and that, so we don't have to. Our doctor comes in once a week, and if somebody, they can't take care of what he's got to do when he comes in, then we got to take him up to the hospital, then the feds pay that. So anything internal we do through our doctors as a contract nursing, so.
Great. Well, thank you, Dan, for coming in.
Yeah.
We're going to pop right over to Aaron for our Emergency Management Department 7D. Aaron, thank you for coming. Once again, Emergency Management, we go to line or packet or Department 70. And I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, the big token I want to bring up this year, and I would talk about it a little bit, is that EMPG, Emergency Management Performance Grant. This current fiscal year, we still have not received that. FEMA's in that lawsuit with like 3 other states, where they're not releasing those funds to any commission in the state of Iowa. The state doesn't have the funds yet. And we have our monthly district meetings. We keep asking our district planner on, is there a chance we're gonna see that? And they keep saying at this time, no. So
That's the 20,000?
that's the 20,000 like last year that we allocated as a federal reimbursement. And you can see it for this budget, we left it at 0 because they're saying it's a better odd for this next budget year, but, there's a lot of counties I've reached out to other counties, seen what they're gonna do, and they're also just gonna pull it out 100% and just can't rely on it, unfortunately.
Yep.
So, and that's where you can see there's basically the ask this year is 100% on the county level. And we're gonna leave the reserve alone with that starting fund balance. Typically, like the last couple of years, I think we've tried to pull from that a little bit. We're gonna leave it alone this year. So say we get EMPG this year, say we get 20,000, whatever it might be, we'll work on maybe lessening the ask again next year for that next budget, on the county level. Unless you guys have other thoughts, but that's kind of what we're thinking at the moment for that.
Sandra, does that sound the right direction, or what do you think?
You can either do it that way, or we can reduce in the fiscal year way.
Sure.
If you get more funding, kind of similar to the way Lindley does it with, if she picks up more grants and whatnot, then she doesn't need to ask as much of the county.
Okay. And I know some counties, like I talked to Butler County, and he gets quarterly payouts from his county for his allocation. I don't know if that's something we want to do here or not. Because then he said, like, so if you say Q2, he does get a check from, for that EMPG. Depending what that comes back is, then he just lessens that ask that quarter from the county. That's just kind of how they do it over there. I don't know if that's an option here, if we want to entertain that, or if we just.
Are you finding yourself running short by going semi-annual like we do, or?
No, it's been okay. I mean, if we take out the hiccups in between.
One of those, why fix it if it's not broken?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Annual, it's just one time with an
annual,
annual.
Yeah,
So,
I'm okay with that.
So
I'm
far,
just,
your fund has stayed healthy to a point where we haven't had to do it sooner.
right. So, yeah, I'm just throwing thoughts out there that other areas have done. So the 2.8 on the salary, equipment, I'll be looking to get a desktop computer. My laptop has been causing some issues. That laptop was purchased like a year or so prior before I started, so it sat. Well, now we're finding I got a new printer, so we're starting to find it's got some issues that we're finding, that have narrowed down with IT, that if we just put a desktop in there, tower only, no monitors, we can relieve that connection issue. So that's for the office. For the maintained operating construction equipment, I bumped that to 1,800. Secondary roads is gonna replace the tires on my sheltering trailer, the Recovery Coalition, and my command trailer. I had Andy send me a rough price back on mounting and balancing, and 4 tires for each trailer. Cause since they do sit more than they roll, they're starting to get a little dry, so, we'll get those replaced. Otherwise, I don't have a lot of big changes on equipment or, expense-wise.
What is the GR2 analyst?
The GR2 analyst is kind of an interactive radar for based on my computer. So it allows us to dig in. It's
getting more to the meteorologist kind of stuff, but it allows you to dig in to help decide what the storm might do. And you can helps you break down the layers that help predict of what's in Butler County that might change for predictions on wind and stuff like that. It's more of an interactive radar than just
Is that
clicking.
an annual one-time fee?
That's
or
that's a one-time.
One-time.
That's a one-time purchase for the software for the GR2. And then the 8,500 under the vehicle replacement, just to help put funds away, which we started last year, to offset that cost when that time comes. I know we talked about it like in November, but then EPG hit pretty hard, and we're like, yeah, we need to back off on that. So. So we'll leave that one alone for now, but.
Any questions?
Does the 911 board know that it's gonna be just shy of 6,000 rather than 5,000? Or is the county gonna get on the hook for that extra 900?
We put it in there as 6,000. Oh, he's not in here. Yeah, we put it in there as 6,000.
Okay.
Sorry.
I don't have any other questions?
I don't know. Thank you, Aaron.
Okay.
So for your goals next year, any, from the public standpoint, any new initiatives or anything that the public should be aware about?
I've been getting asked more about like the CERT program,
Okay.
different things like that. I'm currently doing that CERT program at Wartburg every Thursday morning till end of March is when they test out. It's 26 students. I think once we get this next one under our belt, then we might entertain on what setting a more of a on the community side versus the school side on what we can set up or how much interest there is. I just had random people reach out here and there.
Yep, they've contacted me, some of them have, so.
Volunteer
Yep.
type stuff, so.
So you'll be putting a public course in.
More, yeah.
Yeah, the students are good, but
Yeah.
obviously they don't stay around at times, so.
No, that's the unfortunate part, but.
And right now, how many CERT people do you have in your database?
Database, I'd have to go back and look because it's pretty old and I don't know who's around anymore. I mean, the list is like prior COVID, I think. So we have to do some digging on who's around yet.
Yeah, because you should be maintaining a database of all CERT people.
Right.
And then if you ever need them, of course, you'd be contacting them, lost child or whatever. So you'd have that database of additional support.
How long is the training for? Does it expire and they have to get recertified?
No, so once you get it, then there's, I have to look back on the training on it, but then there's like quarterly trainings that you would put out for the group. Quarterly.
Have any of those people that have had it been quarterly trained? Or
Probably
they-
not,
they're
that I'm
all
aware of.
Then probably.
It's probably passed, so they're gonna need some updating if, the current members that are on the list. So, get them up to speed with some new training stuff too, so.
Mhm.
But-
So that's one thing you're gonna be doing is more expansion of CERT. Anything else?
At this point, that's kind of my bigger project to focus on that. And maybe some other like storm spotter type classes. I did one last year and it had like 15 people, and I thought that was pretty decent for the first one. Which takes a special person to be able to want to do that, to volunteer and commit to something like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are just self-knowledge too, so. And we work with the Weather Service on setting those up, and they're actually wanting to do, not necessarily where they teach it, but they were looking to do a train the trainer,
Yeah.
where they would train us to teach storm spotters. So I kind of looked into that, if that's something we want to entertain. And then it's easier to schedule. You're not working on the Weather Service meteorologist schedules, which they're limited on how many they can do per month, per year.
Yeah, that's where, as emergency management directors within Northeast Iowa, try to get some trainers
Yeah.
there, so
Yep.
you don't have to do it all, but hopefully
Right.
work together.
Right. Yep. And we've been working on some of that at the district level of setting up, like I said, working together, but more district-sized trainings that we can tag team.
Yep.
And not just put the load on one person, basically. So yeah, a lot of ideas floating around on the district level too.
And I'm sure Lindley has talked to you about, she's gonna do some basic first aid courses, so
Mhm.
that'll be good too, kind of along with our EMS advisory group, so.
Yeah. Yep.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah. A lot of
Appreciate
little things going on. So.
Thank you, Aaron, for coming in and giving us an update, so appreciate that.
You bet. Thank you, guys.
Tim Meeker, Customer Convenience Center, come up. We got Budget Department 26. And then we'll also do Department 53. So 26 is first, and once again, kind of highlight some of the differences, changes, keep us abreast on that, and then we'll go to the next department, and lastly, I'll just ask you what your major initiatives are this next year. So Tim, I'm gonna turn it over to you, kind of go through your sheets.
Thank you. Okay. You guys all have the other sheets.
We got tipping fee sheets here.
Okay. Department 26, there's not a lot of changes there. Nor should there be.
The 4,000, you may want to just talk about what you're talking about there for the 4,000.
Okay, the 4,000 is basically, it's for leveling the high spots in the pre-78 and seed. That way we can make that rentable.
Okay.
That's so that it can be turned into hay ground or
Yes.
some sort of production ground.
Yep.
And you'll be getting us, lease agreements or whatever, or some type of agreements here this spring?
I've been working with Darius and we're looking at whether we're gonna be paid by the bale or by the ton.
Okay.
Shell Rock does everything by the bale. You go up to Fort Atkinson and in the east, hay sales go by the ton, so we'll see where we're at with that.
Yeah. But you're hoping to get this established so the spring cut or the May cuts would be.
Yeah. Well, basically, the cap, whether they mow it once or twice, where we're leveling off, that'll only be a one cutting
Yep.
this year.
Yep.
And then going on, it'll be
2 cuts.
probably 3, 2, maybe 4. So, so yeah, that's what the 4,000 is.
And so you don't have an estimated revenue, what's that estimated revenue on that?
We don't. Oh, you mean on the hay?
Yeah.
I do not have that, because we haven't determined whether we're going by the ton or by the bale, or,
Well, and you don't even know with timing if you're gonna get anything this year. It might be the following year before you get anything off of there, depending on what,
it could be.
when things get leveled and ready to roll for seeding and
Right, on the 3.6 acres, yes.
whether it's dry or great
We don't
weather
know.
for growing, it's.
Yep. It'll happen, it's
Right,
just,
but
it's just
probably
uncertain.
better to not try to guess on, I mean, you could put $1,000 into it, but you're not gonna be able to guarantee that for us
No,
for sure.
not first year.
Okay.
You know, it's a ongoing process, it's not a
Right.
one-year thing, so.
You want to jump to Department 53 now?
Okay. Where do you want to start? Wages, 2.8. Pretty self-explanatory. I did not increase any of the part-time hours, due to, we have Cooley doing our hauling for us. So we should be able to take care of that. So do we want to go into the expenses? This has been quite a year to even try and figure this because of the 142% increase that we have had in the first 5 months of this fiscal year. And this, if you look back on the 25-26 budget and the year-to-date activity, you'll see some of those lines are well, I guess I'm thinking of the revenue part. The expenses are up. I'm not sure, we're in for an amendment because and I was not aware that we could offset the revenue until I talked to Cassandra here 2-3 weeks ago. And in that process, I wasn't aware, so I thought I had to keep. I didn't know I could use the revenue or switch numbers around there to
You
cover.
thought you could only amend the expense.
Yes.
But we needed to amend the revenue to account for
Yep.
the additional,
Yeah.
Tipping, yep, fees.
And we'll get into those other things that I've passed around. We'll get into the other questions that you guys have asked before, but you want to go line by line, or?
No, major changes.
Okay, telephone, major change, right there. Instead of spending $100 a month on the phone and $40 a month, which was at $140 for both of those, we're down to $15 a month by going with the Waverly Utilities, so we're saving a lot of money there. Well, $1,600 anyway.
So you don't have anything in it? Do you intend
Nothing.
to not have anything in it?
I don't have any telephone service. It's all Ethernet.
Okay.
All goes through
That's
the,
projected somewhere else than the fiber optics into the next one, or?
yes, it's right in the very next one, so.
Okay.
So your phone and internet are all $300 a year instead of.
It's a bundled bill with Waverly Utilities.
Yes,
For that, okay.
instead of the $140 a month, so.
Okay.
So it's, it's not huge dollar-wise, but it's a big deal.
And 300 is enough, because it looks like your history shows that you've been spending a little more than that.
Like I said, we used to spend $140 a month for a phone, and
That's in this too?
it's all together. The phone and the internet
It's
is,
bundled with Waverly Utilities.
yes, it's $15 a month now.
Okay.
And we were paying $140 a month
Okay.
for both of those.
What's on your repair and maintenance, your construction equipment? Just trying to be conservative in the ask at 15,000, looking at the history with what we've been
Well, yeah.
sinking into repairs. Should we be higher there, or?
Electrical issues with the end loader, that were unexpected, the mice chewing wires and stuff. So I don't anticipate having issues with that end loader, because we've stuck, well, basically all of that.
You got rid of the mice somehow, or?
Well, they're never gone, but, so I don't anticipate that being there again.
And if we come to that, we put an amendment.
Yep,
You've got other places you can pull it in the short term.
yeah, so it was a little increase over last year, but I'm just trying to cover anything else, the tipping fees. It's an educated guess. We're not gonna be 142%. We're not gonna stay at that same level. as what we did the first 5 months. So it's an educated guess. We're gonna go down some, but I anticipate it being more than it was a year ago, because it depends on when you talk to contractors. Some of them say that a lot of the roofs weren't replaced because they weren't leaking, so they pushed them off and did the ones that absolutely had to be done. So I expect the first or the last part of our fiscal year now to basically eat that up, and some of that may linger into the '27 budget. And the next number that goes along with that would be the trucking, which that's up because I anticipate this spring finishing up on all the hail damage, and hopefully we don't have another one of those this year. The storm to take things in a different turn. Any questions on that? Expenses?
Well, that kind of brings me to, I mean, are fees enough to cover your expenses out there? Have you done, I mean, I assume we're gonna be getting into that.
We're gonna get into that in that
Okay.
packet.
Okay.
We'll have the grant for the new building will all be, primarily be in this fiscal year, but we'll have retainage coming in
Right.
fiscal '27.
Right.
Because we can't close that out for 12 months, so that'll be closed out probably December of '26.
Yep.
But the expense side of it and
Yeah,
the
we-
income from the reimbursement of the grant should mostly be in fiscal '26, except for retainage.
Right. 'Cause as soon as we get moving on that, we need to get moving, and otherwise things get delayed, and then we're into next year.
Right.
But, so do you wanna go to revenue? Same thing, asking for the same transfer from the general basic fund. I'm not sure on this tire disposal thing. There's numbers that aren't calculating right somewhere, and I haven't found out why. Because that number should be at least twice as high, the 3744.
Oh, for this current year?
Yes,
Okay.
That went through November.
yeah, something,
So those are the numbers through the end of November. It's either that or something, we found out this morning, Darius, that was the number, so something's not posting to the right spot.
Okay, so you
okay,
might be.
so you're aware of that too?
Not on yours, but
Okay.
did you want another this morning? And it's not with the accounting software, it's
Yeah.
where things are.
Because that 3744, I was paid $3,100 just from secondary roads to get rid of their tires, so that's why I'm saying that number's not right, so.
So you'll have to meet with Cassandra afterwards and see if we get some mislabeled before, so.
Yeah, whether we bring in tires and the bulk is not translating into those dollars, or something's not.
Yep. Work with her afterwards.
Okay.
What are white goods?
White goods are appliances.
Okay.
And as you can see, white goods, in this fiscal year, we've already went over what we expected, the income. And I estimated it a little bit more next year. This year's just been something. So the demolition fees, the 60 is on charges, okay? And then you got the other demolition fee, which is individuals, and that's where the 80 is, which is gonna be up from 65. As you can see where we're at right now, we're at 57,744. And that's not even, it's 6 months worth. So we're only halfway through and we're almost to my prediction of what we was gonna have last year, obviously because of the hailstorm and all of that, so. Get down farther. The landfill, the public individual stuff, I went up 7,000 from what it is what it was this year, because we keep getting new customers all the time. And the sale of product, that's our metal and our white goods. So.
Yep, that's good.
All right, we covered that. So, go to this sheet here, the top sheet that you have, that, and your question before that you wanted a cost analysis sheet. I made these graphs and stuff. The top sheet is the last year, not fiscal year, but Cooley started hauling in February of '25. Okay, because you want to know our cost versus revenue, and the graphs will show you the revenue. The expense is the tipping fees from Blackhawk and our trucking fees. And if you go to the second sheet, there's 3-bar graphs there. Revenue, the tipping fees are on there, and the hauling costs. That way they're separated so it's not combined. A lot of information up on top. How many loads, the cost, what we paid for the fees, the revenue from that we took in to get rid of it. And as you can see on the top line, we hauled in January, and then February is when the motor was out of the truck and stuff. So it gives you the number of customers that we served during the last year just on those things, not including tires. Any questions there?
That's good data.
Okay, the next one is just for your information. You can see fiscal year '24 was at 1469. '25 was 2,000, over 2,000 tons. That's why we had to up our permit. And then you can see the first 6 months of this fiscal year, or 26, is 1470, which we're already over what we did 2 years ago.
So all in all, you're pretty pleased with that process?
It's the volume that makes it pay for itself. If we had not had that volume, those numbers would have been a lot closer. So
That's kind of what I was taking away, is looking at a certain volume threshold per month of where that break even is, and
yeah, so
being mindful of that.
So you take that, right now our revenue is 45,508 over our costs. Now that's not including our wages. That's just cost.
To me, I mean, why aren't you closer to be an enterprise fund?
Being what?
An enterprise fund holding your own.
Because this has always been considered a service to the Bremer County residents. That's what I've always been told. In order to make us self-sustaining, we'll go to the last one here. And this shows where we were at in the last 6 months. This is just 6 months on the very top line. So if you go down and we change the $15 minimum or turn it to a $20 minimum at $90 per ton, going with the same tonnage for the first 6 months, that would have been our revenue if we'd have been at that tonnage. We are not self-sustaining, but I do believe that we should be looking at raising it because it hasn't been raised since 2018. And in our survey, they were, the majority agreed to, they would pay more if they had a new facility, so I just, but we're not self-sustaining. And in order to get there, we would have to more than double our fees, and we're already the highest around.
But going to 20, would we, where's that align with us?
20 on the minimum?
Yeah,
Well,
from other counties, is that a line?
you got Elma that's at $7 for 300 pounds. You
They have their own landfill though, so they have
That's right.
a lot more holistic control.
And Blackhawk's same way, they're at 15 for 750 pounds, 720 or 750. So I just put this together so you can see how much revenue that's gonna create. Now this, we're only talking, this is only 6 months, the first 6 months of this year. That's 1,771 tons. So keep that in mind too. This is
So am
just,
I hearing you recommending consideration to go from 15 to 20? Is that
no, what we need to do is price per ton. That's the number that we have to discuss. And then we need to discuss whether we want to have a $15 minimum or a $20 minimum. And then these are the pounds that go with that, which equals out to $80 per ton.
To make it linear.
Yes. Yes,
Stay at the 15-pound minimum, but the threshold to make the minimum reduces.
right.
Well, if you look at inflation from 2018 to present, if we haven't adjusted our tonnage fee since
Right.
then.
Right now, Blackhawk is at $43 a ton. Alma is going to $45 a ton from 43 in October. But we're at 80 already, so. So do we want to discuss this later on? Another meeting, that way you can kind of, if you have questions or if I need to do more research or,
I'm gonna rely heavily on your recommendation.
well, I think since 2018, we need to have some sort of raise, but I don't think we can act on any of that today anyway. But
I think, put your recommendation together, because $20 doesn't seem out of line. It's a tremendous convenience to take it here than driving an hour,
Yep.
45 minutes to Blackhawk County. So I don't have a concern. I don't have much concern with that. So get your proposal prepared and give it to us as soon as possible.
So you're thinking a $20 minimum or $20 per ton?
I don't, we're gonna look to you
Okay, all right,
to make that.
all right. Are there any questions on this stuff?
Department 41.
Capital
Oh.
projects.
Oh,
Okay. Department 41. You got some requests in there.
yes, there are. I didn't bring that sheet with me.
Oh. Let me get
109, you're the big boy here.
What's that?
109 for landfill skid loader with attachments, roll-up tarp system, 109,000.
Yes. So there's two projects in here. One would be the skid loader. That way we actually have a backup for the end loader if it breaks down. We hope it does not, but the skid loader would also be for, with the mower attachment, I wouldn't have to call in manpower and equipment to take care of that. We should be self-sustaining. With the forks, the grapple is the main tool on that for different products. Why we have a hard time scooping stuff up. The Wartburg project was one of those that we had an issue and we had to bring in a skid loader with the grapple in order to get a hold of that stuff. The mower to do the terraces and stuff. Hoses, self-explanatory. The wheel option, there's 4 different options on wheels. Tree puller, instead of trimming trees, we can pull the trees right out by the roots in the fence lines, and if we go ahead with the over the creek, 5-6 acres over there, pulling them trees up and renting that ground, that would be a good tool to have. That way we're not digging up all the dirt and we're just getting the tree, and roots.
So the tarp system, I like the idea. How, it's all attached to the truck.
Yes.
So then when you get to the landfill, you push a button and it automatically.
You got hand controls.
Untarps.
Yes.
Okay.
In this particular tarp system, okay, yeah, here's the stuff. The gantry, which is up by the cab, goes up and down 3 foot. Therefore, you can get it below the cab so it doesn't catch the air and balloon the tarp, and then it's a rack and pinion system, so it actually, you would be down on the front of the tub, and on the back you would be down 2 foot, so there's pressure on it. And then the sides have extra.
So Tim, does
stuff.
the person loading have to be a little more careful about top layer of the load so that there aren't sharp objects, or is the tarp indestructible?
Well, nothing's indestructible, but it is an extra heavy-duty tarp that comes with it.
You don't want to have your stuff above the box, any garbage
Right.
above the box, so.
Right. So that would make our loads a little bit smaller, unless it is a mattress or something like that, then that doesn't bother.
Just want to be careful. But the big thing is you don't want people climbing ladders and stuff like that like they
That's
do
right.
today. So this is trying to minimize work injuries.
Yes, liability thing.
Well, and time-wise, I mean, this can't take anywhere near as long as it takes
No.
to manually tarp a load. That's,
Nope.
what is it, 20 minutes, half hour to?
20 minutes.
20 to 30?
It's another 20 minutes,
Yeah. And this has got to be, what, 5?
not even that. Yep.
So,
So you can tarp and go, and then there's no climbing on the steps or the end loader or ladders or.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else, but we have a public hearing that was supposed to be started
Yeah.
15 minutes ago, so.
So yes, we put in for those 2 projects.
Great, thank you, Tim.
Yes.
We'll get you on the agenda at some point in time, and then meet with Cassandra about the missing dollars
Okay.
in your budget, so you get some takeaways.
Yep. I'm not saying that they're missing, they're just not showing up.
Yeah,
where-
I assume it's in someone else's. I wish it was in my little budget, but. All right, thank you, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. Move to open the public hearing regarding budget amendments for fiscal '26.
We have a first and second. Public hearing is open. Anybody wanting to give us public hearing on FY '26 budget amendments? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, and we'll go to resolution 26, what? 2613?
15.
15. Cassandra, can you talk to us about this?
what's in the amendment or what's on the resolution?
What's in the amendment?
So in the amendment, for expenses, we have, auditor's office is doing the utilities for the annex, so there is money in, money out that washes out. Roadside vegetation, we had a crossover between old administrator and new administrator, so there was, a time frame where both were being paid. And we also had, a truck get towed. We were reimbursed by the insurance for that, so we do have revenue coming in for that. So that is the reason for that amendment. Customer Convenience Center was awarded a Iowa Department of Natural Resource grant. And so we have revenue in for that, expense offsetting that, increase for the trucking services, and the Blackhawk tip fees partially because of the hail damage we had this last spring, and then repair and maintenance on equipment for some repairs to the truck out there. And then last is our MIS for a data center hardware support renewal that thought we were gonna be in FY '27 to renew, and it is actually renewing now. Otherwise, it would have been in the budget for next year.
Alrighty, FY '26 budget amendments, that was, I'm sorry, 26,
15.
15.
Move to approve 2615.
Second.
We have a first and second. Any more discussion on resolution for the FY '26 budget amendment? Hearing none. All in favor of 2615, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We passed that resolution.
Move to approve 2616 to appropriate that money.
Second.
First and a second discussion on this one. Seeing none, all in favor of resolution 2616, budget FY '26 budget amendment appropriation, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We have approved 2616. Thank you. Now we're back on task here, and we'll have, let's just take 2 minutes and then we'll start.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Stay warm.
Okay, Cassandra, we're on Department 17, 33, 41, 99. Any other numbers?
That should do her.
So, we're going to go to Local Option Sales Tax Department 17.
Right. What's built in here is a combination of the old local option sales tax fund and the new. The old still has a specific purpose, and currently, the only thing that we have left with that specific purpose is projects out at secondary roads. And as of right now, we grab what Landon is anticipating for next year. It's got a couple bridges, Bridge 94, Bridge 106, and then subdivision paving, Huber addition, and then potentially adding Casper Avenue, C38, T77. So that comes to $1,422,000, and that potential one is $600,000. So if that doesn't happen in that fiscal year, I actually think he may depending on where they're at this spring, he may ask to amend to put that into this fiscal year. Otherwise, what's in here is, I talked with Maggie with Spear Financial to find out if we go forward with the courthouse project, if we would have bond, principal or interest payments yet in this fiscal year, and she said no. So I went ahead and used her last schedule that she gave us, but included the fact that interest would be accruing from this spring to December before we make our first payment. And then the way I divided up the courthouse project was 2/8 of it happening yet in this fiscal year, an eighth probably in FY '28, and then the bulk happening in FY '27. So I've adjusted our FY '26 on here, and I will do that officially with our next amendment. When we find out after February 10th where we're at. As of right now, we're going to try and spend proceeds from bond payments first, but we've already got fees that we've incurred, so those have come out of here, and those are for architect. Our general fund will be last, so I don't anticipate that till that last for the fiscal year FY '28.
Okay.
Because what I did was I split the cost of what I think we're gonna be above bond proceeds in half, with half of it being local option sales tax, half general fund. That can be adjusted.
If we do the project.
If we do the project, yes. This all may change.
Question on Department 17. Let's go to 33.
33 is your outside agencies. And we had quite a few of our outside agencies asked to speak in person this year. We had a few that chose not to, but still put in their requests. We have the list there. I do want to remind you about the state of Iowa auditor gave guidance on nonprofits and whether or not we can contribute to them without there being a service agreement. So it's basically you're paying for services. I know we have a request from the Allen Child Protection Center. I don't know.
To me, I don't know if it's allowed.
I don't know what service we would be providing there, so that's just something.
Well,
to-
I think the service they would be providing would be related to law enforcement investigations where kids are involved. I think that's what they said to us when they came in that day, but I can't quantify the amount of that or what the value is of it or anything.
Don't you have to have a contract? for
So what we do is, yeah, we do service agreements, and we have one with all of these providers on here that, FAIR, that's Iowa Code, Historical Society is Iowa Code, so is Library. But the rest of them, Riverview, Helping Services, Cedar Valley, Northeast Iowa Community Action, we have agreements that we sign every spring for the next fiscal year.
So either someone needs to put some agreement together, Dewey, or we may have to skip this.
I'm not saying I'm even advocating for it. I just am saying what they expressed to us and what the need was and what the purpose for it was going to be. And I think it is a very valuable service. So maybe they will just choose to bill us per service then, I would guess. Maybe they would anyway. I don't know. So you follow what I'm saying?
So do you need guidance right now on this, or when?
So we have time in February to let you guys think about this stuff. When we put it on the agenda each week to go over specific departments and elected official budgets, so that you guys can say, hey, nope, we're gonna reduce there, we're gonna, it doesn't have to be today.
So why don't we have Darius or have her contact Darius and see if, what our citizens are actually getting for that, if we would, and if it is possible, what? If we got time,
Okay.
that,
Because this was a specific campaign, so it's in your
Right.
Yeah.
binder, so that
Mhm.
it's not providing services in this one, this is a campaign. I don't know if it's to actually build the center, or,
I thought it was a construction, so campaign to construct. Yeah. Allen Child Protection Center capital campaign.
I think it is problematic to just give dollars towards something like that, because then where would that stop? I mean, you could be giving to every capital campaign for every facility, so maybe we should just say we can't participate. Keep us in mind of when you begin
Services.
delivering services, if we can then do something.
Okay.
Several of the others asked for increases also again, which is pretty typical.
Yeah, it's the Northeast Iowa Community Action has a pretty big one in the fair.
Northeast Iowa Community Action does typically put in, if we were to fund fully what they say that they are providing in services for Bremer County, they know that they probably aren't going to receive that, but they just want to show you. And yes, the fair also, I made this adjustment, that the fair did put in for an additional 40,000, was it 40,000?
Yeah.
Or 20,000?
No, it's 40.
40.
Yes.
Fair maintenance.
Yep. An additional 40,000 to do
Yeah.
sidewalks.
I would like to I would think we should discuss that along with, are we gonna keep our land out there? Or are we going to potentially give it to them for, you know, because it's worth more than 40,000.
Well, we paid 30-something for it.
Yeah, but it's probably worth more. Yeah.
But we couldn't, I mean, I wouldn't in good conscience open it up to a public sale.
Well, they have
I mean,
first right
and
of
we
refusal.
gave them
Yes.
first right of first
Yes.
refusal, so, anyway. I doubt whether they would come back and say that acquiring that back has $40,000 worth of value, because it's not gonna help them build sidewalks. Because they're not gonna sell it off for anything. They're gonna utilize it for necessary parking, because that's what it was utilized for this time.
Correct.
And it is gonna be needed, so.
But it is, it's,
Still value.
yes.
Right.
How do you want to proceed with that?
With the fairgrounds?
Yeah.
Well, I support trying to help them some for their project, because it is a Bremer County fairgrounds, and, you know, I want to say grossly, they drastically need some better maneuverability sidewalks available, whether they're hard surface right away or just better maintained. We saw it when we were out there.
I was wondering if, we had that conversation with Dan a week ago or whatever, about if they could better quantify the impact. We know there's a positive financial impact, economic impact during the fair and the other events during the year, but if they would put in some legwork to quantify that and bring it back, so we have some solid metrics to stand on, then consider what level we can support. I definitely would like to see support there. I could justify it over some of these other increased asks, because I can see the return of it in, not just Fair Week, but other activities during the calendar year out there.
So let's put it on the agenda. We can bring the fair in one more time, discuss this.
Well, and it would be nice to have the fair board president here. Dan is there, Danny is there, treasurer. But for that especially the one regarding the land, and I'd like to see us put that on too, because if we're not gonna use it for anything, we may as well try to find a way to
It's just a
turn it back
liability
over
for us.
to them. I think that's what you're saying, and I would agree with that, so. Okay,
Okay.
good direction there, Cassandra. Clear as mud?
I got it.
And I agree with Corey also on the other assessment about the other groups and their ones.
Yeah, I just say, I'm inclined to not say no to Allen and maybe not do as much with Northeast Iowa Community Action as a request, and everything else seems to be smaller dollar amount increases. So that's where I line. I don't know where you guys line.
Community Action is invested in our community with the food pantry shift and everything, so I don't know, we were at just shy of 18,000 a couple years ago. We dropped back as things tightened up, and I'm not advocating for funding the full amount, but, maybe if we could get back to that $18,000 threshold, I think it would be much appreciated with the needs there, and knowing that there's a couple budgets that are tight. Last year, some of these we had to go through and kind of 95%, to get to the number we needed to be at, and so I think that's how we got there. But if we could fund it back at that level, we were at a 24-25. I think it would be a big
The
help.
24-25 was actually an amendment because the carryover from FY '24, they didn't fully
Bills.
expend the full 15,000 because you have till June 30th. Well, then they submit the bill, and now I'm into the next
Okay.
fiscal year. So you take the two together and it'd be the.
So it was 15,000 level,
Yes.
but they ended up,
Yeah.
it was a carryover. Okay.
Yes.
It was less than 15,000 years ago. I don't know how long you have to go back for that, but.
I remember it had been 23, 24. I remember
My recollection in their proposal, we're kind of in line with what others are doing now. Right? Didn't that?
there's nothing,
There was maybe one or two counties.
there's a couple counties, but they do their general relief through there. Like Chickasaw is a smaller county, contributes considerably more, but it's because
Right.
of their general relief.
Right. Well, I'm pretty comfortable on the 15.
Maybe we stay at the 15 then.
And they do great work. Nothing to do with that.
So ready to pencil that in at 15?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I think that gives you enough. Right now, we'll have the fair come in. We've got these two things penciled. All righty. So let's go to.
Can we make sure that we're clear on, we want to increase the libraries by 10,000? Is that what they're asking, right? 195 up to 205?
That is the request.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on that, Dewey?
I want to be supportive, but I'm frustrated again. It's kind of like the EMS system where, you got a several of them sitting on the edges of other counties, and other counties don't participate or contribute anything, so it seems like when we increase ours, we're asking our rural residents, the few that they are, to pick up the cost of others, and so I'd probably
Want to dial it down to just a straight
half of what
200,000?
they ask at,
Okay.
you know, go up to 2 instead of 205 would be a lot more comfortable for me.
Let's pencil in at 200,000, Corey?
I'm okay with that.
Got it.
Okay. Thank you. Dewey, for bringing that up. Now, are we ready for 41?
I think so.
Okay. Department 41, capital projects.
This is your capital projects and liability, property tort insurance. So the capital projects that are in your book, unless secondary roads does theirs out of their fund, and roadside will be doing theirs out of their fund. But every other capital project is listed in here. You have sheriff and sheriff vehicle, equipment. We have the egg extension water testing and our upper Wapsie amount that we can do each year. You have landfill skid loader with attachments and roll-off tarp system. Conservation is asking for a pickup.
What amount total are you comfortable with? What do you want, I mean, at the bottom line, to me, what amount should we target for capitals this year that you're comfortable with?
That's gonna come up to you guys and how far are you willing to dip into your fund balance to fund some of these things?
You're just
and
passing
there-
a buck to the supervisors.
Well, the reason I say that is, I also want you to look at your customer convenience center.
Yeah.
And with the cost, you know, you're contributing right now 100,000, but look where fund balance is gonna be. You're gonna have to up that. Otherwise you are going to, one more fiscal year, and you're going to be negative.
I know this question has been asked, I don't know that we've ever had it answered. Do other counties handle their capital improvements like this, or should some of these be asked to be put back in the regular budgets, like the one we just heard from the convenience center? Why does that necessarily have to be a capital project? Why couldn't it be incorporated into?
It could, and then he just would have to increase
budgets?
his contribution
Right.
request, because there, in the past, when that fund was healthy, it was able to be absorbed either out of that budget and or the landfill closure budget, and that's where we did some of those.
Well, it just seems like we are, you know, even with computers, we're putting more and more into capital improvement where they're necessary budgetary things that should be maybe worked into the regular budget more often. And
The only time we're
Is
putting
it-
computer stuff is like when we switch software, because it was a one-time
Right,
big
right.
expense.
Across many departments.
But when it's like ongoing, this is what we pay for our software, maintenance, subscription, all that, you're gonna see that next week when
Nate.
Nate comes in here. And that's why that number for him keeps going up and up and up, because all of that.
But that's really probably the better way to be budgeting for it, so.
Well, okay, we'll pick on, you know, the technology, we do have the iPads. So if our auditor had to do it in her budget, she would have to, you know, once again, put it into a fund that carries over, and then she would have to store it up for 10 years or 5 years, whatever.
Which I don't think we can do. I don't think we can create funds too. We looked into this back when you were on the committee. Casey Wadding, at that time, contacted the state auditor's office, and it does not, if you look even under your funds and it talks about the capital project funds, you transfer money in there when you're going to spend it. So it's not that you leave money in there to create a reserve. So that's something we will have to look into if that's what you want to do. Where I struggle with some of the capital projects, if they're in the budget, we're talking about bottom line budgeting. If it's in their budget, they can spend it. Doesn't matter if it's not spent on that project.
Yeah. And that's the risk.
Absolutely.
They can play games, but I do, I hear Dewey, obviously the small stuff should be in their budget, the major stuff, this route is not uncommon that we did it in Waverly, so not uncommon.
I don't know that we've ever banned this amount of money in the request. Maybe we have, but it just seems like it keeps getting, and costs go up, so maybe that's just the economy, but.
And that's where I'm sorry.
We're doubling it.
Yeah.
We've doubled it in 3 years.
We need to target, I need a target amount and say, okay, this is what we should feel comfortable we can do, and then we gotta start picking and choosing priorities. I need some guidance from you,
Okay.
Cassandra.
I will look at it and,
Tell us what you're comfortable with. This is what you could spend this year for capitals, and then we could rank it and then knock off things.
okay,
Is that
yep.
okay, guys?
Sure.
Dewey, you got a better idea?
No, absolutely, I do not. But,
I mean, we're about 950,000 estimated reduction of funds in our 3 levy balances as the budget's presented in our books right now.
And
So-
some of this, again, part of this was initially part of the courthouse
Yeah.
remodel. If that doesn't happen, then it's here, but otherwise, if it does happen,
Wouldn't fall out of here.
I mean, but it's still being paid for then out of our local option and or our general fund. So,
Yeah.
either way, and some of this is again, one thing that we tried to do back when we started that committee was to have departments give us their long-term capital projects so that we knew what was coming down the road. And that committee just never, I think all of those committees created at that time just kind of eventually fizzled out.
Maybe what would give a better picture here is if we did a trend line of where these capital projects, like what budget they're attributed to, and to see those spikes or those trends, in a 5, 7, 10-year.
Oh, it's typically the same departments
Right.
that ask for capital projects. So I know who to ask
Yeah.
if I haven't seen anything.
But then that helps to show the outliers.
Okay, I think Cassandra, you have a request. Let's get a bottom line number that you're comfortable with, and then we can rank it, and then we may have to rank with a courthouse remodel, without a courthouse remodel. Might have to do 2 rankings. Okay. Making progress on that one. So that's 41. You want to go to 99?
Sure.
That sounded kind of good.
This is non-departmental. This is where our property taxes come in for our various funds. This would be where our bond proceeds would come in. This is where we're paying our debt service payments.
And we got all these credits and exemptions that may change.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I do want to point out, I talked for you a little bit about our 911 bonds, and because of the short payback period, those were non-callable. So it's not something that we could
That's 4-year payoff or before?
Five. But it's not something the purchasers of those bonds are guaranteed that principal and interest.
Yep. For a short period of that, that's understandable. So this is good information. You got any, what do you need from us on this?
So right now I need you guys to take your books home, kind of look through the departments. Bob's gonna look into what the process is now that we don't have a compensation board. The three of you now as replacing that. It used to be that, a meeting was held about the elected wages, recommendation was given to the three of you. And then during the public hearing, a resolution was done to either agree with those recommendations, lower.
But if
you
there's
couldn't
not a
go higher.
recommendation anymore, is it still part of the code?
That's what I mean, I
Yeah.
can't find the newest
don't-
code, so I don't know.
I can't
don't know what the
imagine that it
process
is.
is, but I do know that we need to figure something out there because elected, some have stayed within the guidelines, some have not, but those aren't your official
Yeah.
recommendations, so.
I'm looking at the code right now from the Iowa legislature, under their stuff, so I can see it, but
Okay, so yeah,
I'm
with
just following
that, taking your books home, really looking at what people are asking for, especially as far as wages go. I think the bulk stayed with the 2.8 COLA. Some did not. It's gonna be up to you guys whether it's warranted or not. And so that we can discuss again next week, discuss again the next week if needed, so that we can get this done before the end of the month, so that we can get the information to Shelley to do her job with this process and set our first public hearing. This did take our tax levy back up to $3.50, $3.95. So we will see an increase. It doesn't mean that you couldn't lower your general supplemental to offset that increase. That's going to be up to the three of you. We cannot go lower than the $3.50, or we can't do the general supplemental. So you'd have to lower your general supplemental to get that difference.
Right, 331 last year on GB because of the
3.39806.
3.9. Okay. It's 340.
And debt service levy is going down slightly again because we do have those premiums from the bond purchaser that we're using to lower each of the last four years of payment. So my proposal is that I put budget discussion on departments
Do we wanna-
unelected.
Do we want to break the budget down into like 3 segments over the next 3 weeks and focus on just those areas?
However you guys want to do it. You
What do you
just
think of
let
that
me
idea,
know.
Bob?
break it up like into thirds or?
Well, if we just want to, I mean, if we want to tackle elected wages next week and capital projects, or like we just went through, like fine tune, finalize the outside agencies, kind of break it down in that manner. We've got healthcare to go through yet. That'll be a big discussion.
Yes, as soon as we get those rates in and,
So if we, rather than trying to go through every page of every budget every week, let's compartmentalize it a little bit.
I'm fine with that.
what would you guys like to start with next week? We don't have to determine each week yet, but just at least next week.
Did we get our stuff from Shay?
I have seen nothing.
Okay.
For the RFP, we received that, that's on to the Excel group,
But the
not on the alternate
stopgap and-
renewals.
right.
So I'd like to get the outside departments finalized because we want to bring the fair in. So we'll.
I will attempt to.
Yep. Get them finalized.
It'd be
And
nice to
then-
get healthcare before we get into, I mean, it'd be nice to have the healthcare numbers solidified for wage purposes.
I will email Shay today and ask.
And then the capital projects, that's,
If we could get those cleaned up, I have a better idea of what our deficit is.
So we'll try health insurance, capital projects, and outside agencies specifically, and then something else.
yeah, I think otherwise, department heads did a pretty good job keeping things flat, and so. And then Tim will come back in with the landfill revenue
Yes.
thing, so. yeah. Alrighty. Is that okay as a direction so far, or?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. I will.
So everybody,
Everything now that you do is gonna be minor changes unless you completely change everybody's wage to
No.
1%, 5%, then that's gonna take you a while.
yep, yep.
Recess till 1, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please.
See, John's here.
Oh, he's here.
He's walking the hallway.
Shoot.
He's getting his exercise in from this marathon day.
Did he say 1 o'clock, or how did it?
It was 1 o'clock for me because I thought I was gonna be done at 12:15. And I told him in the afternoon, and I figured you guys wanted a lunch break, but I didn't mean to take till.
Okay.
I don't need a lunch break,
Can we start early?
but you're the chair, but
Say no. That's too early.
you do have the press here, so you could theoretically say that she's here unless you're gonna have some other press, but you better not, Bob.
My drainage administrator is coming and she's at lunch until 1.
Okay, that's all I needed to know.
You got a
We're recessed till
scapegoat.
1.
If you put something on your agenda that says these are tentative times, can you? Hello?
You could probably have to word it like, agenda items could be moved up to lessen the gaps between, or if time is available. If you specified the reason, I think it should be something run by a scenario.
On Zoom or YouTube, so you'll be,
That's fine.
so. And we'll start now, John Torbett, is it?
Torbert,
Torbert, I'm sorry, John.
that's fine.
You're Executive Director of the Iowa Drainage District Association, and you're making your annual visit here. You're gonna educate me because I don't have any gravel roads in my district, and I don't have any drainage districts in the district I represent, so.
Well,
I'm gonna be
some would
taking
say
a lot
that's a
of notes.
blessing. Good afternoon, you all. Good to be here. Good to be back in Bremer County. I won't take a lot of your time, but just a couple of things to talk about. First of all, briefly, I would mention the annual meeting. We had our annual meeting in early December, as we normally do, at our usual location in Fort Dodge. I will say that we had, we do evaluations of each conference, and all of those evaluations are summarized, and I will be talking with the IDDA Board of Directors about those tomorrow. Evaluations were very positive. A lot of good comments about the speakers. I think the only thing that was of a concern for me is that we have been going to that same facility in Fort Dodge for as long as I've been executive director, because frankly, it has just worked out for us. It's a good size and good people to work with, and I found out when I got there this year, much to my surprise, that the room configurations had
changed dramatically from what we have had in previous years. And they have a large conference facility, ballroom facility, which we had always used for our general meeting, and that is going to be converted into a restaurant space. So that is not going to be available anymore. So they had us in a smaller space, which was fine, but it was not ideal. It was more cramped than it normally is. And from what I'm told, that larger space is not going to come back. They are totally configuring how they use their hotel. So I'll be talking to our board of directors tomorrow and see if they want to go back to the same facility, even with the revisions that have taken place, or want to look around at different potentials and see what else might be out there. I know I've already had a little bit of communication with Mason City Convention and Visitors Bureau to see what might be available there. Not to say there aren't other areas we might look at also. We try to stay somewhat central to our membership. Fort Dodge has generally worked out really well for us. But I don't know if there's another space in Fort Dodge that would work if we're not able to go back to the Starlight. So that's sort of up in the air right now, but we'll get it worked out. Other thing this year that we had our third annual summer meeting for drainage administrators and county auditors. This was something that we started a few years ago. I had a drainage administrator from a different county approach me and say, you know, the best meeting I go to each year is the breakout session of the drainage administrators during the annual conference. Why don't we do that twice a year? And I thought, oh, well, I hadn't even thought of that. There's no reason we can't. So we started hosting a summer meeting, and we generally go a half day, go 9 a.m. to noon. Sort of, you know, looking back to when we started it, I said, well, we'll try it. And my question was, number one, is anybody going to show up? We don't really have an agenda other than we're going to sit and talk. And secondly, if anybody shows up, how in God's name are we going to occupy 3 hours of time? So we held the meeting. It was myself, Mona Bond, who's our lobbyist, and Doug Strike, who's our general counsel. And we had about 25 people show up. And that's about what we have each year, between 25 and 30. And we have no shortage of things to talk about. As a matter of fact, I've found now that we're cutting off the discussion at noon, and I think we could probably go longer if we had the availability to do so. So that might be one of the things we look at in the future, is going a little bit longer. But I hear very good comments about that and the positive impact that has. I think mainly people who want to have the opportunity to sit down with our legal counsel, for 3 hours uninterrupted, and pick his brain about, what's going on in drainage as relates to the code book and how to do things and stay legal. So we will certainly continue that in the future. I mentioned briefly, legislature, of course, is back in session. We're at the point now where we're seeing a lot of new bills introduced on a daily basis. Additionally, this is a carryover session, still the bills from last year are still active. I just did a quick count this morning, and I think there's about 30 bills that we're watching. And that list will increase as we go through the year. But I am pleased to say that at least so far, there's really nothing out there that I see that is a huge concern for drainage. Not to say it won't happen, but we will watch that very closely. Final thing I'd talk about, and then we'll go to questions, is the courts. And I will say by means of background that when we send our due statements out each year, each of our due statements has a line on it that is an optional assessment for our litigation fund. And some counties choose to participate in that, and some counties don't. I just checked my records here, and Bremer County is one who does participate. That is very important because that gives us a ready-made fund that we can tap if we have to. And sometimes we will go years where we use that fund several times. Sometimes we'll go 3 or 4 years where we don't touch it and it just grows, and that's fine. And right now, we're at a period where it's grown, but we did have to use it this year. We were approached by an attorney last summer who was representing a county, supervisors of that county as drainage trustees, over a lawsuit that they had been sued by a railroad company. And the railroad company, the county had a drainage, I think it was, not sure whether it was repair or improvement, I think it was an improvement, had an improvement going on, and they had sent a drainage assessment out to the railroad company, which had property inside the improvement area, and the railroad balked at paying the bill, and it went back and forth, and it ended up in a lawsuit where the railroad said that we are exempt from paying drainage assessments under a federal law that was enacted, I believe, back in the mid-'80s. And they took that to court, and they won at the district court level. So that was sitting law at that point. That was precedent that had been established. And if that was allowed to stand, railroads could make the case in the future that they didn't have to pay any drainage assessments for repairs or improvements. The attorney said, I'm going to ask the Supreme Court to take the case up. I don't know if they will, but if they do, I'd like IDDA to help. What I'm told is that Supreme Court takes up very few cases that they're asked to take up. Generally about 10 to 15% of the cases they're asked to hear, they actually hear. So we knew going in it was going to be a long shot to even get the case heard. But first of all, good news, the court did pick the case up. And, generally I'll say that if a court picks the case up, if you're challenging the case, it's probably positive that the court picked it up because, you don't really think that the court is taking cases simply for the point of patting the district court in the back and saying, good job. They see something there that needs to be re-heard and re-litigated at a different level. So that's always a positive. So the Supreme Court took the case up. IDDA did get involved. We filed the front of the court brief. And the case was heard in open court in September, oral arguments before the Iowa Supreme Court. I did attend personally. I'm weird that way, but it's something I like to do. If we have an active case, I think it's fascinating to watch the process and sort of get a feel of the room and the lay of the land, how the justices are asking questions, what questions they're asking, how they're responding to the various attorneys. I think my take was at the end of the presentation and the questions and answers by the justices, presentations by the attorneys for the two sides, I felt probably 60% good, because it seemed like the questions they had for the attorney for the railroad were more pointed and more negative than they had for the county side of things, for the drainage district side of things. So I felt, well, maybe there's a chance here. But the other thing I've been cautioned about is, it's a fool's game to predict the court. So I did not issue any predictions. I thought we'll just wait and see. Well, thankfully, the court did rule late last year, came out with a decision in favor of the county. So the court said that no, the railroads were not exempt. They did not have to pay, they do have to pay railroad assessments and drainage assessments. This is the second time since I've been an executive director that we've had a railroad case go to the Iowa Supreme Court. First one was in Calhoun County 7-8 years ago. Again, a case in which IDDA was directly involved. And we won both of them. So, I got to hand it to the railroads. They keep trying. Here you have a situation where instead of trying to change law the way that most organizations do, and that's to go to the legislature and find a friendly legislator and get a bill offered and try to get hearings and try to get the bill passed on the floor of the House and the Senate. Instead of the old-fashioned way, they're trying to short circuit the process and get the legislature to change the law. I don't think it's going to be the last time that we hear from the railroads, but that's their right to do that. But I can say that both times we've been able to turn that around in court, and I believe, perhaps wrongfully, that had not IDDA been involved, that this would have had a different result. Lost at the district court level, IDDA wasn't involved. IDDA became involved, filed a front of the court brief, and got the situation turned around. I don't know if that's a cause and effect, but I'd like to think it had something to do with it. So the fact that you all contribute to that fund is important, because what it means is that, as an example, I've got a associate who does what I do in another state. They are not as well funded as IDDA. They have a sort of a much more loosely organized group, and they had a lawsuit came up that affected drainage rights in their state, which was Illinois. And the executive director was a female. She did not have a litigation fund on hand, did not have any organized pool of money that she could go to, so had to scramble to call a board of directors meeting, had to come up with a special assessment, had to send out special assessment notices to create a pot of money that they could use to pay legal fees. We don't have to go through any of that. If we're approached by an attorney or we get involved in a lawsuit in some way, shape, or form to protect drainage rights and to protect you all as drainage trustees for the districts in your county, we have the ability to do that without having to go through a bunch of red tape to do so. So I'm thankful for that. We're pleased with the result. And with that, I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Questions?
All right. Keep up the good work. Keep representing
Thank you.
counties and the districts the way that, and keep putting on the presentation. I know both these ladies like to attend and get something. They always come back and say they got great information, so.
Any changes in relation to the proposed carbon pipeline projects? Have you seen any counties, or is there any new discussion on protections?
Any changes in what?
The carbon pipeline projects and how they interact across drainage districts, especially like northwest Iowa. Are you seeing, is there any new revelations, any considerations for protections coming in for drainage districts that we haven't heard about?
IDDA, several years ago, in response to another issue, drafted a resolution that sets standards that anybody who is putting any kind of a facility across drainage property has to follow. And basically that puts rules in place about if you're gonna dig down into the dirt and you're gonna dig down in the drain tile, it protects what happens after that and creates a pot of money so that if there is, monetary damages that take place and work that has to be redone to restore the drainage infrastructure and the land, there's a pot of money there to pay for it. So we do have a resolution that has been used successfully to protect counties in that case. I know this was written several years ago, back in the code access pipeline days, and we wrote that resolution at the request of a county, and that county put it into effect, and the code access people who did not really know about drainage districts and what drainage district role played in the law went ballistic, and they, you don't have the right to do that, you don't have the authority to do that, and basically, how dare you? And we had a very pointed meeting with them and sat down with, state code book and showed them the law and said, we do have the ability to protect our infrastructure, and we do have the ability to do what needs to be done so that if you all are gonna come across infrastructure and damage that infrastructure, there's rules you have to follow and cost you have to pay. And once they had a chance to sit down and look at the state laws and understand what's going on, their tune changed very quickly. And they realized that, everything we were doing was on the up and up, and they had better do it by the book or they were gonna be in trouble. So this has been tested, and we know it does work.
Thank you.
Shelley, Jennifer, you guys got any questions?
Thank you, John.
What did you all think of the confined space? Did that work, or?
It was tight.
It was tight, I know.
It's hard to move around in there to get,
I didn't know it until I got to the meeting site.
yeah.
And I thought, why are we here?
It made it work, but it was, you couldn't get from your table to the door until everybody broke loose, and it was still a struggle.
Well, we'll talk about it tomorrow and see what the board wants to do, so.
And some of your meetings, I don't know if they could be done through Zoom. You can have a topic of the quarter and have, attorneys talk about that.
Okay,
Might minimize
appreciate
some
that.
travel.
Yeah, I would have to bring somebody in to do that, but that's certainly something we can look at.
So,
I'm a
Yeah.
one-person show, so.
Yeah. But yeah, Mona or someone else during the legislative session have a legislative update. We do Zoom on ISAC, and those are really good. So that's something you should think about. Gets more information out and cheap, and an hour meeting or whatever. So from your look at Bremer County, are we doing things okay, or some areas we can improve on? Well, what's your view of our drainage districts? And,
Well, not that I have a lot of personal knowledge about it, but I guess no news is good news. I do know that you have personnel who show up and learn. And from that perspective, I'm guessing you all are doing what you need to do. And we do have resources available. If they have questions, either one of them, they can reach out to me. We can get our legal counsel involved and make sure that we're doing things the way they should be done.
I think that's important to capitalize on, because Shelley and Jen both have been very willing to reach out to ask
Yeah.
questions when necessary. When we were going through all of our updates for the drainage districts here recently.
Yeah.
And they were very fantastic about
Yeah.
asking questions and getting answers for
Yeah.
us.
Okay.
And so I'm comfortable with it
Yeah.
also.
Anything else?
Nothing else? You guys are all good?
Thank you.
Safe travels.
Appreciate it. Yep.
Thank you for coming
Good
up.
seeing you again.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.